Hey everybody, welcome to Getting Stoked. Want to jump in real quick and tell everyone how you can connect with the show. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for constant updates, events, and whatever ramblings and going on I might be involved with. I always want to connect with listeners and be as accessible as possible. So if you're interested in coming on the show, or maybe you just want to shoot the shit, hit me up at gettingstokedpodcast@gmail.com or any of the aforementioned social media websites. Always feel free to send me links to your music, and if I'm into it, I'll hit you back. You guys are everything to me, and it really means the world that anyone listens, so thank you so fucking much. Enough with the chuffa, let's get on with the show. Okay, welcome everybody to the show. This is a really special episode because I have two amazing high-ranking officers in the Phoenix music scene on the show with me. I have Justin from Celebration Guns.
Number one.
Yep, welcome welcome back. And then his lieutenant, Robbie Pfeffer. Is it Pfeffer? Am I saying it right?
It's Pfeffer. It's German for pepper.
Pfeffer. Okay, is he that makes more sense because there's no I in it?
Pfeffer's a significantly more common name.
Yeah, I guess that's why my brain immediately thinks to jump there.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much every first day of school for me for like any grade. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why everyone just immediately wants to go there, but
it's significantly more common, you know what I mean? Like, why would you assume it is pronounced like a word you've never heard said out loud before unless you're from, speak German or whatever?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's German for pepper.
Yep.
I need more pfeffers.
I can see that. I totally believe that happens. Well, welcome to the show, fellas. I want to start off, first of all, because Justin, we already know your shit. You've been on the show before. Robbie, though.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry. I have to start off the questions that I have with Miguel Lopez, who's a Patreon supporter, threw in a question, which is something you guys can do. If you hit me up and support the show on Patreon, you can ask the guest questions. And the question that he wanted to throw in to get everything started was, he said, Playboy Manbaby's music videos are super cool and creative. Which music video was your favorite to film, and who comes up with the video ideas?
I come up with most of the video ideas, and my favorite one to film was the I'd Like to Meet Your Parents video. I've got like a standing rule where I don't tell the band what we're going to do for videos before we start doing it. So it was just really, it was fun to have them walk in and it's just like, all right, paint your face. All right, put on this bad suit. Like, just like keep kind of, and everyone's really cool with it. You know, everyone's like pretty reasonably down to do whatever. But that was the most fun just because it was like, it was even more weird than the other ones.
Is that the one with the 2 liters and like I don't know if it's spaghetti.
Yeah, that's spaghetti.
I like that one
like
too.
Some sort of pasta.
Yeah,
the Italian restaurant-ish one. Yeah,
it's a good one.
Was there ever a point where anyone was like, I don't know, man, are you sure about this? Like, come on, do I really have to do this?
No, not anyone in the band really. Yeah, I mean, if you just kind of catch them off guard and just be like, all right, come on, we got to get this done. You can get away with a lot as far as absurdity goes.
That's crazy. That's how do you say his name? Alexandra Jodorowsky, the guy that did Holy Mountain. He just gave the cast and crew a bunch of acid, and then they just filmed this huge, ridiculously esoteric movie that nobody understands. So maybe you should do that next time.
Yeah,
just give everybody drugs.
Yeah,
I think that'll work out really well. So
I think we need like different drugs. Like we'd have to do like trucker speed or like Quaaludes or something like that.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. You've got your drummers going crazy on speed, and then you've got your guitar player just like strung out.
Yeah, acid's way too vibey for us. Like it'd just be people laying on the floor, and that's not a great video.
No, it's not a great video. Like PCP, they're all lifting up trucks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we need.
Saving their children. Yeah, that's what I always think of.
Is that a true story? I think it is, right?
No, that's just on adrenaline, isn't it? Where it lifts the truck off of the child. Or something.
She didn't do PCP before she lifted the truck off of her child.
That adds kind of a sad twist to that, where it's just like, oh man, she saved her child, but she probably should have not done PCP.
But if she wouldn't have done PCP, she wouldn't have saved her child. So I mean,
it's a toss-up.
Maybe they should lower the schedule of that narcotic after something like that happens.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so. While we're on the topic of videos, where did you come up with the idea to do these hilarious 80s infomercials?
So we've done promo videos in the past, like all the way back to when we were like playing shows at Long Wongs and all that sort of thing. I've got a lot of video production experience, and I edit video and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of within my wheelhouse of, I've been doing that stuff since I was in high school, middle school, something like that. So it's just, we all kind of like that kind of like 90s chic, public access television, bad local commercials, where they have like the sports figure, who's like endorsing stuff. And that they took like 30 minutes to get just one take of just like, come down to this guy's car shop. It's great.
Makes me think of like a Winnebago Man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All that kind of like really low budget stuff, because that's within our budget. So, kind of playing on that is very much within our like humor range.
That totally makes sense. Or the amazing dating videos that have been like circulating the internet forever.
Yeah.
Have you seen those, Justin?
I don't think so.
That's like pre-Tinder Tinder, where you just like record your bio. And
Oh,
You've never seen that?
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm into trains.
I've seen the concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
It circulates, I think, like once a year. I see it definitely around Valentine's Day. I see it come up every year, and I try to repost it every time, and it's so funny.
Yeah, those are brutal because it's just, you just inherently by the fact that you're doing it, it's already kind of this like vulnerable, lonely act. Like you paid money to get your VHS circulated, and like that's the one thing that everyone knows about every single one of these people is inherent. But then seeing these people just try to like kind of like talk themselves up but not seem cocky and like sum up their entire life experience, like there's no way that's not going to be weird.
It's just the biggest red flag. Like fact that this
but
person
that was
had to
the
go
only
there.
thing. That was the only thing available. There wasn't any like Christian Mingle or Farmers Only at the time.
I don't know Farmers Only.
Yeah. Oh, Farmers Only. Yeah, I went on Farmers Only once because I thought it would be funny, and it wasn't. It was just sad.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
It's like a bad Bobcat Goldthwait movie. Sometimes they're not funny, and they're just
it just drags. It's just like it's coming soon, right?
Oh my God! Or that movie Happiness.
God Bless America.
Yeah,
you see that one?
I love that. I love
That's
God Bless
actually
America.
yeah.
I love that movie. He doesn't really get it wrong that often, but if he did, it would just be really sad.
Trying to prove you wrong.
Dude, yeah. Speaking of that, World's Greatest Dad. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Robin
that's
Williams?
the last Robin Williams movie.
Aw.
Yeah.
Too sad. I can't watch it.
But it's so good. Like there's a picture or there's a video, there's a piece of that movie where he's crying looking at pornography because his son like died while masturbating, and Chris Novoselic from Nirvana comes over and like puts his hand on his shoulder, and I had this. It was my cover photo on Facebook forever. There's just Robin Williams crying in front of these mags, like squirters and XXX and all this stuff, and he's just like crying. That was like when I was like 19 years old. That was my cover photo forever. Great movie.
That's a good one. That's kind of in the same zone as like The Comedy, like that Tim Heidecker movie.
Dude, no, not enough people have seen that. The comedy was great.
I haven't.
Yeah, no, that's good, and I think that's really that's Tim's sweet spot, is that kind of like pushing people into like horrible situations thing. So that character worked really well for him.
He's asking that family if they can jump in the pool.
Oh yeah. He's just like, can me and my homies just go ahead and jump in this pool? Oh man, this is very insular. So just describing a movie third hand, this is like
You should see it. No, it's funny. It's great. Oh yeah, no, that is one of those movies though, and we're gonna keep doing it for a second because I've talked about it, but no one has seen that. Where halfway through the movie, the tone changes and it goes from being this really uncomfortable comedy to this really depressingly honest story of like getting older. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But anyway, sorry, we'll move on.
Oh, that one stars Eric, right? But it was made by Tim.
Tim, yeah.
Eric's in it.
Okay.
They all like get sweaty and like half naked and drink.
Yeah, I
together.
did see
Tim's
that.
like the main dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
Yeah. That was one of my pirate bays back in the day.
Bad boy.
Yeah, I know, man. I've had to like wipe my parents' computers so many times, like growing up, like downloading movies and stuff. Okay, so let's start at the beginning a little bit here with you, Robbie. I've heard different dates. When exactly did Playboy Manbaby start?
I think it was September of 2011 was like the very beginning.
Okay. Where did you guys first play shows?
The first show that we tried to play was a house show, and then the cops came. So
if only they would have known that it was the legendary.
Well, yeah, it was in an era of Tempe house shows where like house shows were insane. Like house shows were like out of control. Like it was way less safe, but it was way more rowdy. Like there was much more of a crossover between like general kind of like college students and also like artsy music people. So it would be the kind of thing where it just, like cops coming to shows was not unheard of at all, because people would get punched in the face and it would just be around a keg. Like that was the whole thing, is how people didn't come for bands, they came because you had a lot of booze. So it wasn't really that much of a surprise. But we had gotten to the point from throwing shows with like my previous band and stuff like that, where people knew it was going to be really rowdy. So there was like the cops apparently found out about the show because there was a line to turn into the neighborhood. No one called or anything like that. There was just cars backed up on rural, like, so. Wow. Like it was like making a scene. Yeah. Yeah.
The house shows, I mean, that's crazy. When I first started playing house shows was 2015, but even then there was like crazy stuff that happened. There's like one guy almost hit another guy with a big rock, and then there's like cocaine and acid and all kinds of stuff in the living rooms and stuff like that. And that stuff I expect from like a good house show. But that's what I want. I don't want anybody to be sitting down during a house show. Like I want to be kind of uncomfortable. Like, you know what I mean? Like you want to make sure that any girl you're around, you're like really making sure everything is going to be comfortable. Like, because those house shows are always the ones that are packed and go crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's definitely got its like, it's got its things that I like think back fondly about, but there's also like, some kind of ugly elements to it.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Like there's a reason those shows don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But they were really wild at the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the nice thing about thinking back on them, though, is that you can kind of forget some of the uncomfortable moments.
Yeah, if you're willing to. Yeah.
What was your band before that?
It was called Cartons and Bottles, and basically we played terrible show after terrible show after terrible show, and then as soon as we announced that we were breaking up, then we started playing really good shows. It was just this very bizarre thing. Like, we dragged out the death of that band for like 5 shows. So we played like 5 good shows, and all of them were after we said like, nah, fuck this band. Yeah.
Anyone from your current band in that one?
The original drummer of the band was the drummer of that band was the original drummer of Playboy, and then everybody else, like it was just drums, keyboard, and bass, and the bass player went to DC to become a diplomat, and the keyboard player became a teacher.
And you ended up with Chad, so you're doing all right.
Yeah.
He is awesome.
Yeah, Chad rips. Yeah. Yeah, and the original drummer is a guitarist, and he's got a band called Lawn Chair, and they're sick too. Yeah. But he was always just like he was a drummer because we needed a drummer. Like, he could drum, and we lived together and shit like that. So it was like, you know what I mean? Like, he held down really well for what we were needing. But yeah, he's a sick songwriter. But his like main instrument is guitar, so I'm glad he's swinging that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Justin, remember, you're a guest. You're not supposed to be asking questions.
I'm sorry about that.
Just kidding.
I don't want you to miss anything.
No, I'm just kidding. Please do that. That's nice, man. I appreciate that. So, were there ever periods between 2011, seeing us like how long ago that was, between now, where you kind of doubted the success of the band or had second thoughts about committing to it? Because that's a long fucking time.
That is a long time. I mean, like every 10 minutes since 2011, I would say. No, but like, it just piles into like to typical what am I doing with my life kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily the band or anything. Like, the band's just the most fun thing I can come up with to do with my time. Like, it's meant, you know, that's been such a long time that it's meant so many different things to me at so many different points in my life. Like, the band dynamic and even what I enjoy about the band has changed since we like started the band. Like, so much shit has changed since then.
Now, what was it like? What was the original kind of direction?
The original thing was just let's party. Like, that was it. You know what I mean? Like, the first couple years of the band were just exclusively, it wasn't about writing songs. It wasn't about, you know what I mean, anything really musical. It was just let's fucking party. Like, as hard as we can, let's push this to the most ridiculous limit we possibly can. Like, the first show that we did end up playing, you know, it was the kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, I ended the show covered in, like, blood and ice cream. And it was just, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, let's just destroy anywhere we show up to. It was like that was the original goal of the band. And we did an incredible job at that.
Now, what pushed you to want to have such an extreme, like, personality in that sense? Like, what kind of because there's always something that makes someone want to cover themselves in blood and ice cream. Is there something that kind of put you where you like that? This is how I want to express myself.
No, it was just fun. that was like it was very there was very little else to the project other than that of just like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to have the most fun I can possibly have. And hopefully everybody else is having the most fun they can have. And, like, it was just an experience of, like, playing those shows and seeing people, like, that wasn't really what happened in Tempe music at the time. Like, no one was, like, you know, trying to, like, get people to dance and get people to freak out and all that sort of thing.
I've heard, I was talking to Yab Yum about that. They were saying that the late 2000s and early 2010s were kind of a weird rut for the music scene.
Well, there was a lot of, like, when we first started this band, the dominant music thing in the kind of indie community was like was folk, you know, like all the
folk
kind
punk
of
scene is huge here.
No, not even folk punk. Just folk, like Mumford and Sons folk, like, you know what I mean, like River Jones. And Courtney Marie Andrews being on the cover of the New Times.
Oh, yeah,
so, like,
she's
locally
speaking,
speaking,
now.
Locally speaking, like, when I say, like, we were out of fucking left field, we were out of left field. Like, and we were in, all of those people were our friends. So we would be singer-songwriter and then us. And, like, so it was just like, what the fuck is happening? And it was a smaller scene, so everyone kind of played together. You couldn't really find your niche where it was just like, oh yeah, you sound like this, so play with the other 10 bands that sound like you. It was just like, there are 10 bands, so you play with them. You know, it was just segregated a lot more. Like, Phoenix bands played in Phoenix, Tempe bands played in Tempe. Yeah.
Damn. That's so, like, because I didn't come into the Phoenix, like, I played in bands around that time, but there was nothing, like, we played like 3 shows, so I wasn't actually in the music scene per se, but I didn't start doing that until 2015, and by that time, everything, all the doors were already opened up, and I just kind of walked in, and everything was fine. But, I mean, for the most part.
Yeah.
2015 was, I mean, it was fun. That was when, like, Diners was really getting, like, crazy attention, and the music scene was, like, the indie scene was really starting to do really well. Like,
absolutely, yeah. No, 2015, things are definitely in full swing.
Yeah, so I'm lucky for that, I guess. But people have told me a lot of horror stories, especially about 08, 09. Like, I have a lot of people who have been on the show who are older than me who are just saying, like, that was the worst.
It was, because it was just a shitty time in general, but it was also just a huge transition time. Because we just came out of there being the thing that was happening died. And died hard. Like, died in a way that we haven't seen something die.
What, the music scene?
Yeah, well...
How so?
No, I mean, like, shit was huge. If you look at the 2006, 2007, like, I don't like it, but, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like Bless the Fall and Job for a Cowboy and Stiletto Formal, like, that shit, those dudes were touring Europe and selling out the marquee. Like, they were not just, like, Phoenix successful, they were like, those guys are still doing that.
Scary kids.
Yeah. Like, there were people, like, there was a time there where bands from Phoenix were becoming national bands overnight. Like, the dudes you knew from high school were all of a sudden, you know what I mean, being, like, having 2,000 people show up to their show in Wichita. Like, it was insane. And then to go from that... And that was a very vapid, kind of shitty, useless culture as a whole. Yeah. Like, I hated that and didn't like really any of the attitude to it or any of the people involved in it. So it didn't appeal to me on any level. But that's what was available. And then it just like, whoop, gone. And then there was nothing. So there was, you know, Yob's house shows. And then there was, you know, like, it was... just trash.
Was Trunk Space at that time, or was it
Trunk Space? Was Trunk Space? Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
They were a coffee shop kind of before that.
But right? I wasn't involved in Trunk Space at that time at all. I didn't even know what was going on in Trunk Space. And Trunk Space has always kind of existed in its own universe. But I wasn't in that orbit at all. So I'm just going off of my own perspective. You know, anything I'm saying is not hard science. It's all just personal perspective.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And just so I feel relevant, I was in a band called Wizards of Time at the time. I don't know if you remember hearing. If you're in the scene, you might have heard the name.
Yeah, no, totally.
So that was kind of like weird indie artsy stuff, and the scene was definitely interesting then compared to now.
Hold on, wasn't Nick Florence in that band?
I don't know who he is, so no.
Wait, are you
I'm just kidding. Right, no, I don't know the name, so
okay.
Maybe he might have been before or after me.
Yeah, because that was like they were pretty popular, right?
Yeah, I mean the name was around there for a while. That was like 2008, 2010.
Maybe I'm thinking of different Wizards. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah,
I saw someone post something online of like an old, I thought it was a Wizards of Time shirt from like way back in the day. It was the guy from Weird Radicals who I guess used to be in the band or something like that.
Could be.
Oh, really?
I don't know. He used to be in like was Wizards of Time like a metal band, right?
No,
it's not. It's like an indie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'm totally wrong.
Weird Radicals. They were in that. What's that?
Nick Florence was in like a metal band before.
No, they were in that like dance band that was really popular. There was like a Stefan that was in it.
Oh, Peach Cake.
Peach Cake. Yeah.
Oh shit! Peach Cake was really popular.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. That's all we're gonna say.
Yeah, you know.
I love that. That silence was awesome. Just let it ride. So,
well, I don't think I ever saw Peach Cake.
So they wore pajama pants. That's my memory of them. On New Times, on the cover of New Times, they had pajama pants on.
Nice.
That's how you gotta do it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Well, wait, isn't Jimmy Eat World from here too? But that was like way the fuck before that.
Well,
right?
that's
that
a whole different. That's a whole different thing. That's like saying like Linda Ronstadt's from Arizona. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's not like we were hanging out at bars with Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Well, speak for yourself, Sonny.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Yeah. It's just outside of the of course, the orbit of anything that's relevant.
Yeah, and that was like what? That was like late '90s, right? Jimmy Eat
World?
When
they started mid to early '90s.
Early '90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. So was there ever a time then when you kind of decided, I mean, maybe it hasn't happened, I don't know, but was there ever a time in your history where you decided, okay, I'm really sticking my heels into this project. Like, this is really when I want to go hard on. Like, this is... Sorry, I didn't mean to say like that. But, like, did you ever, like, this is what you want to commit to? This is what you want to do? Because Playboy Manbaby, I mean, like, this is what I would consider to be a band that is for serious.
Yeah. Probably 2013, 2014 is maybe... So there's I guess there's varying degrees of serious. Like in reality, we're a significantly more serious band than we were last year, and a significantly more serious band than we were the year before that. So it's just kind of ramped up from the beginning, kind of gradually. So it's hard for So
that makes sense.
I'm so in it that it's hard for me to see the there wasn't like one particular moment other than getting the actual kind of like final lineup that it's been since like 2013 or whatever. Like that was definitely when it was like, let's be a band. But I would say like 2015, 2016 was like, let's be a serious band.
Got it.
In that, like, let's try to like, it was also just when I started caring more about like writing songs as opposed to just kind of like yeah, I mean, I think that kind of the last record we put out was really the first thing that I can say that was like we really tried to take time and like write a real record kind of thing.
Sounds like it. I mean, it that was definitely. I mean, the production on that album versus the previous albums is so fucking far in between. Like, it's leaps and bounds from all of the work that you had done previous. And that work is great, and the production
it's
is
all good. But yeah, no, it's readily apparent.
Yeah, it's very obvious. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I dig it, man. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, I was listening to it today and before the show, and I was kind of like getting prepared for everything, and we were talking about how much fun it would be to have you do one of those songs, like in a tender acoustic thing, where like the guitar is really really nice and pretty, and then you're just like yelling over them. What's okay? So. I guess the obvious question is, does your vocal inflections, to me, call back to kind of like new wave, but also a little bit of kind of the immediacy of Dead Kennedys? Is that kind of the right summation? Where are you coming from?
I think the thing that I hear the most often is either Talking Heads or Dead Kennedys. Those are the two things.
I hear Devo.
At every show, someone comes up to me and says, "I'm sorry, one or the other of those." No, it's totally fine. Yeah, but the funny thing for me is that you know, I listen to new wave. I listened to a shit ton of Dead Kennedys when I was a kid, but like my style came out of slam poetry more than anything else. Ooh. Like, that's what I did initially, and then the first band that I did was a fucking hip hop band. Like, it was very strange hip hop, but if you listen to like our early shit, it's pretty much rap. Like, it's like, as far as my delivery goes, it's very much so within that structure. Like, it's significantly more wordy than you would write stuff for like a punk song or something like that. So that's basically where it's developed out of, is just me trying to get like the most intensity out of kind of like a like hip hop delivery. Like, I remember when like Death Grips released their like first. Like, they released that video for Guillotine, and it was like the first thing that anyone had seen of them, and I was just like, this is what I'm talking about. So like, you know, I kind of understood that to be like, that was more kind of what I was interested in.
Are you still on the Death Grips train?
No.
See, okay, Death Grips is one of those bands where pretty much, with few exception, everyone I look up to on a musical standpoint or musical taste standpoint loves them, and I just haven't cracked the code. Like, I haven't started. I know that if I just start in the right spot, I can probably get into it, but I haven't found that sweet spot on how to get into Death Grips.
It's not listenable music. That's not the point. Yeah, like it's so gnarly, and like it's so intense, especially like I mean, the thing is, like, I just haven't listened to anything that they've put out past those first couple releases. I appreciate kind of the Andy Kaufman element to it, where they just kept like booking shows and then canceling those
them,
shows.
yeah.
But it became a thing where it kind of became like a Marilyn Manson thing, where once that's your thing, no one starts listening to the records. You just are that gimmick. So you know, and you know, I'm so alienated from the average Death Grips listener now. Like, the average Death Grips listener initially, when I was looking at it, would be another nerdy dude in his 20s, and now it's a 15-year-old kid. You know, like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just like, I'm not hopping on that train. I'm not continuing down that path. That their gimmick kind of like does. I'm glad that they've reached financial success through this very jarring method. I thought that the idea was initially interesting and really cool, but like, it's not something I'm interested in anymore.
So I read a couple things in some interviews that I really, really want to get some elaborations on, because for some reason they didn't elaborate on these, and they would have been really nice if they did, because it's like, there's so much more to that. First thing, So in an interview, you described your last album, Don't Let It Be, as uncomfortable people trying to be comfortable in the world.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that? Because they didn't even ask a follow-up to that. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's it? Like, I kind of want to see... I mean, yes, it does say a lot within itself, but kind of specifically, can you give me any more information on that? Because it's a very interesting axiom.
Well, I think that any of it is all just kind of an extension of, like, that's how I personally feel 90% of the time. That's the great part about being in a local art community is I feel like, occasionally if I go to a place, there's going to be a situation where I feel comfortable being around people. But most of the time, that's not the case. And most of the time, the information that I'm getting and the points of views that I'm seeing, like, make me uncomfortable. So it's kind of like my way of understanding that. And then I'm always just kind of interested in, like, dissecting different evil people and all that sort of thing. So, like,
That's foreboding as shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's
like dissecting evil people.
No, that's kind of that's been part of our shtick for a while. Is just like, I try to figure out the perspective of, like, the most fucked up people I can imagine. There's a song on there about a dude who ran a, like, evangelical church that just ended up scamming people over and over and over and over and over again. And he would, like, wear a headset, and then he would have people, like, submit their, like, hopes and fears on cards, and then he would have, like, someone from the back, like, pipe it into him, and he would pretend that, like, God was speaking to him. And then, like, he would be like, oh, yeah, he's told me this, and this is going to be fine. And just the idea of, like, you're directly profiting off of, like, people's,
Can you tell everybody what song that is so they can listen
to
it?
Yeah, it's Oprichnichi. And it's, that is a, that's the Russian word for the very first secret police in the world. Yeah.
God damn. Everything is so multifaceted. I like it. You know what's really funny is I have to tell the story because I think I've told it on the podcast, but I'm excited to be able to tell it with you here. So when so I was in a band called Phantom Party for a few years, and which because you booked us a show at Semisocial, which was, like, super fantastic, and I shook your hand without knowing who you were, and then later on was really upset that I didn't take a moment to actually talk to you. And when we were first forming the band, Josh, our singer, had the idea of calling the band Flower Party, in which me and pretty much everyone I've told that story to is like, no. And we were arguing about, like, how I didn't like that name, and he's like, dude, there's so many bands in Phoenix with ridiculous band names. There's a band called Playboy Manbaby, and I swear to God, there's some text message somewhere with my response saying, that name is fucking awesome. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Like, we don't have to talk about the name because, like, that's the last thing any band, like, wants to talk about. I know you said it came from, like, a web series or something like that. But I just, every single time I see you guys, I think of that argument where I'm just like, no, that's a great name. I don't know what you're talking about. But it doesn't matter. So, I do want to mention also in that interview, because we were talking about Dead Kennedys a second ago, and in the same interview, I remember you making reference to there's two extremely, and I'm paraphrasing, but there's two extremely different ways to approach talking about about talking about politics and music, and one would be the way that the Dead Kennedys did it, and the other way was the way the American Idiot did it.
Yeah.
And I was very curious to see kind of like what do you mean by that?
I think that
American Idiot's got some strong opinions behind it on every side.
Yeah, there's a few. There's political music is really hard in the post-war in Iraq era, because I think if you remember back to where that was, like, every band released a, you know what I mean, like, rock against Bush kind of, like, thing, and it was so they made all the obvious specific points, and it makes it so it's like wildly dated, and as soon as you hear it afterwards, it's just like very cheesy and very hokey. It's like the musical equivalent of seeing someone pick up like an antique phone. Like, it ages so poorly, and if you're going to include it in your discography, like it you're just going to know, like, you know what, I can't listen to anything related to that directly talks about President Bush. I can't, because it's just so, like, first of all, that was like a really fucked up scenario. Everyone agrees that, you know what I mean, that was a terrible president who brought us into a war that was absolute total dog shit. But the art that was made in that time wasn't really universal. It was specific. And that was the hard part for me. The thing about the Dead Kennedys' specific version of political satire is it wasn't like specifically against Reagan. It was against the entirety of this kind of like this 80s money culture thing. So when you write a song called Kill the Poor, it's just as relevant right this second as it was in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a wild, and I think there's a certain thing of like taking a step back from it. Like, because you have to admit that like making music is probably one of the shittier ways to actually affect change. You know what I mean? As opposed to like actually joining like an activism group or going out into the streets and protesting or any of these other things. So it's kind of this like selfish, narcissistic act as a whole. So I have to take it from like a little bit of a joke in order to like be able to kind of like live with it. And I feel like that's where the Dead Kennedys came from, is like, you know what I mean? They're not obviously endorsing killing the poor. They're using it to make a point. And I think that point is just as relevant today as it was back then. I think it all really comes down to the idea that if you take it too seriously, it makes it impossible to listen to, because you automatically alienate anyone who disagrees with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, when I discovered it wasn't too long after I got really into Dead Kennedys that I got really into Jello Biafra's solo spoken word stuff, and that shit blew my 16-year-old mind. Like, listen, and as I've gotten older, I've looked back at some of it and been like, I don't know about that, but most of it is viciously well researched, and he's just a maniac. Like, there's a reason that I think like Hard Times has an article about a poor passenger on plane has to listen to Jello Biafra talk for 5 hours or something like that.
He's at no lack of opinions. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
But goddamn, man, that band, like, yes, Dead Kennedys was phenomenal, and I personally am a really big Frankenchrist guy. I think that album, there's something. I like when a band does something really different and really weird, and Frankenchrist to me was kind of their album where they really went off the deep end with some crazy shit. And I thought, and plus there was all the trials and the PMRC and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I love that band. So when I read that you mentioned them in your article, or when in the interview, I was like, and plus obviously knowing a little bit about kind of the way that you sing songs, I thought there might have been some kind of connection there. And American Idiot is one of those albums where, like, dude, that album, of course, I was like fucking 12 when that thing came out, so that like changed my little stupid 12-year-old mind. I loved the shit out of that thing. But there's certain, I mean, I look back and I'm like, I look back at it as an adult and I'm like,
yeah, not saying there's no merit to the album or whatever.
Totally.
Just saying it doesn't hold up in that same way.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, wake me up when September ends, you know? Like, I'm ready for October. Green Day.
I know. Yeah, I know. I don't want to get down to the Green Day rabbit hole for all the people listening who like Green Day, but they haven't made a good album since then. But I'm gonna say it. There's a couple good songs. But okay.
Dookie?
What?
Nothing.
Yes. Oh shit! More shots fired. Yeah, I know.
What's the one after Dookie though? Had some alright.
I don't know.
I
didn't
like
listen to
Insomniac.
that one.
Insomniac is good.
Yeah.
Insomniac. Yeah.
It's pretty much Dookie Part 2.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like Dookie B-sides.
That's a tough thing to do. They're fine. They're not listening to this. They don't give a shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, everyone can rest easy now that you said they're fine. They can go back to their normal lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, everything is tethered on your opinion, Robbie. So, let's. So back in the day, you mentioned long wongs earlier, which I unfortunately never got to experience. People have talked about long wongs a lot, and I don't really know a whole lot about it.
Oh man.
Like, so you played back in the day. Like, were there venues that you played when you guys first started in 2011 that are still a thing besides what else is Trunk Space and Underground and some of the other really big ones?
Trunk Space is the only one, really. I mean, we never really we played the Nile once and the Underground once. I have literally no affinity or affiliation with that. Really at all. You know what I mean? Like, I think Michelle does a great job. I have nothing against it. It's just not at all a home base for me.
Totally, yeah. I can see that.
You know, but Trunk Space is the only one, and we didn't even really start playing Trunk Space for a while. Like, every venue that we started out on and really kind of like cut our teeth on has been dead for a while. In multiple eras, it's kind of a man, when they closed Jobot down, I really had this moment where like I found that out at like 2 a.m, and I just couldn't go to sleep because I was just like, God damn it. Like, you have to be so used to, I mean, it's just part of making art as a whole and just kind of being a human. But I feel like making art in Phoenix, you have to be so used to watching things die repeatedly.
That's
Like,
a great quote right
every single place that we play at has been closed. I mean, up until like just very recently, you know, like Crescent Ballroom is a very sound business. Valley Bar is a very sound business. All of the stateside stuff is like a fucking business.
Dude, it's almost a monopoly at this point.
Yeah,
Stateside
and
stuff is
he's
crazy.
worked his way up there, brick by fucking
good for
brick.
him.
You know what I mean? Like, cause he runs that shit. You go to those shows, and that dude, and you know, like I used to work for Stateside, and you show up, and that's the first dude at the office, and then you go to the show at night, and that dude's walking around. Like, Charlie does not fuck around at all. Like, there's a reason he's doing it. There's a reason he's doing it well. Not to say that everyone else had done it poorly before or anything like that, like, but every place that you know what I mean, like place that we played shows at is gone.
Do you remember one place?
Yeah, but I mean, I never played shows there. I saw like my friends' metal bands there.
Yeah. The guy that I'm calling him out right now, he's a buddy of mine. The guy that ran that place, Zach, is the band leader of American Longspurs. If you guys know that, that's like Americana country band.
Yeah.
Zach Zimmerman, he's the fucking shit. Anyway, and I just like he's that venue. I've talked about it with people before, and it's like Matt's Big Breakfast now. I guess there's a lot of that stuff. A lot of those venues, I'll go in somewhere and I'll talk to a friend who's been in the scene for a long time. Like, hey man, I just ate at such and such, and they're like, oh, this used to be a sick venue back in the day, and like that seems like, I mean, I've seen. Fuck, when Trunk Space closed, I got really, 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 like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
But that was just expected, pretty much. Like, the thing about Trunk Space, it was more of a shock that it made it that long. Yeah. Because, like, everything, like, even that whole, like, I was never really part of that grand culture where it was, like, The Fix and Four White Walls and, like, all those other places, like, around there. But, like, for a while, they had, like, you know, they had, like, 5-6 all-ages venues. And they all just got, like, wiped out. Like, they had, like, a plague that only specifically targeted those things.
Even a Side of Heart, right? And a Side of Heart over right next to, like, where Jobot used to be and stuff like that.
A Side of Heart is more of, like, how the fuck did it stay open so long? You know what I mean? Like, you would go in there and it's just like, man, we've got a whole different thing now. And it's just like, oh, okay, now we've got food. And then you come back and it's like, no, we don't have food, dude. Now we're just doing smoothies. And then you go back and they're like, now it's just crust punk dice games. And you're like, what the fucking...
Oh, I know. My girlfriend always tells these stories about seeing Andy Warpigs and Ramshackle Glory and shit like that back in the day at the Side of Heart and stuff like that.
And that was cool. That was Fifth Street at the time. You know what I mean? Like, that was rad. That just added to the character of the thing. I would significantly prefer to have 5-6 kind of semi-run businesses like a Side of Heart, as opposed to that like one bougie Mexican restaurant that they just opened up.
Yeah, when Trunk Space closed, now a lot of people were kind of on the in with Steph and kind of had an idea that it was going to come back somewhere. I was not in that.
Shit, it wasn't for sure at all.
It wasn't for sure?
No. It was definitely like a coin toss.
Got it. Yeah, I was scared because like I love 51 West, but I need more than that. I need more than just one spot in like crazy house shows for an all ages venue. And then when we played, I think it was a semi-social.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking around and I saw Steph and I saw Wayne and I saw some other people setting up stuff in that little side thing, and I was like, oh my God, that's gotta be. And she came out and she's like, don't fucking tell anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, it's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, the Trunk Space is so fucking important. And it's so cool to see you still to this day, like, always talking about it. And you put your album release show there too, which was insane. That was like the craziest show ever. So I'm happy. It's crazy that Trunk Space, like, Trunk Space is almost like, it's a meme in some ways. I've heard, like, I've seen memes. I've seen like, here's the thing. I love Trunk Space, and I've played there countless times, and there's nothing I'm more thankful for in the world. But there's a meme that was circulating around the internet for a little while of, like, a girl opening a can in front of a bunch of people sitting down, and it just said, like, Trunk Space at the bottom, and I was like, yeah, no, that's true.
No, but, like, Trunk Space prides itself on that. You know what I mean? Like, that's always been part of the deal. Yeah.
It's like avant-garde, like, because it was like a fucking vaudeville thing back in the day, right? Like on Grand or whatever. So that's how it was billed itself as. I don't know.
Yeah, like the whole idea was this is a place for completely unmarketable art. Like that's awesome. Was what they prided themselves on, you know. I mean, you know, but a significantly better person to talk about early Trunk Space and the roots of that is going to be Ryan. Ryan's like a historian of early Grand Avenue, so you got to talk to.
Hi, my name is.
Yeah, Ryan Avery. Yeah,
Ryan Avery. Oh, I see. He's on my list. He's on my long list of people who I want to talk to really badly.
But Ryan has like a particular vigilance for that very specific era of Phoenix history. Yeah, and nice. I wasn't around for that part in Phoenix.
Got it.
I was more in Tempe or non-existent.
Is that where you're kind of from around, is Tempe?
No, I just went to, I moved there to go to college. Like, I grew up in, like, North Phoenix, fucking Scottsdale area, and just, you know, raged against the machine. Yeah. No, it was...
Go Reddit now!
Yeah, it was very much so.
Speaking of Rage Against the Machine, have you guys heard the new Jack White album?
No, thank you.
Okay, no, you should.
Oh, okay.
Okay, listen, I don't give the slightest fuck about the White Stripes, about Butt Rock, about Jack White, about any of it. There's nothing I could care about less. But I'm on this thing right now, and my listeners, I'm definitely sick of fucking hearing me say it, but I'm listening to every album that I can get, that I can basically find any kind of interest in whatsoever. I've already heard like 80 albums, I think, this year. Like, I'm just cranking them out. So when that one came out, it's like, all right, well, I have to listen to it. It's really like out there and like kind of experimental and weird, and you should at least give it a shot. But there's a track on there that is a straight up Rage Against the Machine ripoff in every way. It's good. It's a good song, but even the guitar solo straight up sounds like Tom Morello, like that like that weird ass kind of stuff that he would do. But it doesn't matter because you guys haven't heard it. So.
Striping in the name of.
It was solid. That was solid
good.
Finish.
That was good. You can't come over anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just kidding. So, okay. I feel bad. So we've been talking about Robbie for quite a while. I want to shift gears for a second because we're at the 47-minute mark and talk a little bit about the other guest who's here, who you guys have all heard before because he's wonderful and Celebration Guns is fantastic. But when you were here last, you talked a little bit about Lumberjerk. But it wasn't like a thing yet. You were like, hey, this is this thing that I'm about to.
It was new.
It was about to embark on. Well, you've done embarked, and we're here, and you put out your second compilation album now, right?
It's about to come out.
It's about to come out, right?
Yes, it is.
Cool, and we have a track on there, right?
Yeah, Phantom Party did, but if I would have known you're going to break up, I would have gotten a different band on there. So,
I know.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Sorry about that.
You were even on the release show.
I
Remember? Do you remember that?
I know.
I didn't know if I should
It
make
was
you
the
feel bad about
worst
that.
possible timing ever. Like, we had all been kind of considering breaking up anyway, and then we was like, yeah, you should play with Celebration Guns and Playboy Manbaby. I was like, yes,
That's what I was thinking.
absolutely.
I had a feeling.
And then we decided to break up, and I was like, really now? Like, this have to happen right now?
Things are. Yeah,
That's just gonna be
you
fun,
guys
though.
are on the comp.
Yeah, but there's tons of people on the comp. The first comp is fantastic. Now, the second comp, though, does seem to be a little bit more varied in genres. The first one was very much like a lot of very dreamy kind of stuff that you guys kind of play around in. The second one, though, is a little bit more all over the place.
It is all over the place.
In a good way.
Yeah, there's 23 bands. So there's a lot to sort through. The only repeats from the first would be my band because I'm vain and.
No, you're not.
No,
you're smart.
Technically, we're one of the 3 official Lumberjerk bands, and official means
What are the 3?
we released something specific to these bands versus just a comp. So we have Celebration Guns, of course, because that's me, and that's obvious.
And
then
other fellas.
Sun System. And There Is Danger.
Got it.
So There Is Danger wasn't on the first one.
They're just putting out stuff, yeah.
They are. There's a release show that we'll say this was in the past, but it totally conflicted with your release show, and you're pissed about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Back on April 6th.
Yeah. What?
All those
bummer.
days ago.
Yeah.
And it's
when
crazy.
When does this come out?
It's crazy because
flies.
that There Is Danger show just like drew all the people from the
Yeah.
Playboy Manbaby
Oh yeah, so
show.
sorry. Just for you,
I went to the last There's Danger release show.
for Robbie, we were talking about this before you came over. This is gonna come out not this upcoming Monday, but the Monday after. So if there's anything specific that you didn't want to talk about before, you can totally talk about it because it's.
Oh yeah, well I figured we're cool to talk about.
Yeah, we're
this
clear.
release show.
He was very nervous. He was biting his fingernails and pulling his hair out, not knowing.
No,
So we can
like
talk
if
about
if you've made it to the 47 point, like,
Yeah,
like
it's cool.
then you deserve some like secret ass information. You know, like
Dude, you'd be so fucking surprised. I always thank people extra for sticking around that long, and people always like will reach out to me and be like, I don't know why you do that. Like, I always
Yeah.
listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, why would you just stop at 47? You're like, well, I gave it
This
47
is
minutes.
boring.
I'm going to delete this.
Yeah,
from my
or
podcast
they
app.
fall asleep to it or something. Someone told me the other day, not to get off of you
I hate
again. But I was someone DM'd me on Instagram the other day and was saying that they fall asleep to the show every night. And oddly, that was one of the best compliments I've ever gotten because that's how I got into podcasts. Was I would listen to my brain just eats itself up. If I'm not constantly being distracted, I'll overanalyze and I'll get anxious and I'll go crazy.
yeah, I have no
I
idea
know
what
the
the fuck you're
feeling.
talking about.
Yeah. So I got into podcasts as a way to kind of cope with all of that stuff. So I would go to sleep every night, and someone was like, dude, I fucking listen to your podcast every night when I go to sleep. And I was like, you're almost more valuable than the people who listen to all 2 hours of it. But I'm just kidding. I love all of you. I don't know why I fell off that tangent.
That was
So
rude.
anyway, Lumberjack Records.
Lumberjack. Yeah, how dare you? Lumberjerk. Yeah, so there is a release show. It is happening. So what I did is I was looking for things the last weekend of April, and I looked at Yucca Tap Room, and I'm like, Friday, April 27th. It just says Playboy Manbaby. What does that mean? There's no other bands listed. So I'm like, let's try the 28th. And it just said the 28th just says Playboy Manbaby. I'm like, what is happening? What are they doing? So I was like, well, they're on the comp. So how about I just barge in and try to make one of these nights tie into Lumberjerk? So I did, and I felt weird about it, and I'm sorry if that was presumptuous of me.
No,
obviously
it worked out.
It worked out. It really
out.
did.
Yeah, you have nothing to be sorry about. It's a significantly better thing now than it was before.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, there's nothing you should be
At the
sorry
time, it
about
felt
that.
a little weird.
Yeah, you know what I mean? If I had a car and you showed up with a spoiler and it's like, hey, I'm sorry for
All
putting
right.
this on, and I'm like, no, dude, this is badass now. I'm picking up chicks left and right in my long-term relationship that I'm perfectly
My
fine
Honda
with.
Civic with a spoiler.
Yeah.
So I was just like, can we tie in the release show to one of these nights at least? And he said, we have one touring band playing one of the nights, Porn Bloopers, which I love the name of.
Dude, Porn Bloopers is sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, besides that, I mean, we could probably figure out whatever, which I was very grateful for.
It's almost as good as Asswipe Junkies.
No, that's yeah.
That is a band, isn't
from
it?
Asswipe Jumping. Yeah. Oh, that's a funny story. I don't think I can tell that story though.
You totally can. Continue.
No.
So I think it was.
Well, I guess it's 47 minutes at this point. At this point, my mom stopped listening, so like that's a positive thing.
You hear about this loser worrying about his mom listening?
Yeah,
pathetic.
No,
that's like a running joke with the podcast because I don't cuss
legitimately
because my mom.
My mom listens to these things now.
No,
and
so does
she
mine.
She didn't before. So if you're listening to this, I'm sorry.
I have to.
I'm sorry for the swear words.
He just broke it, guys. I've mentioned it a couple times on the show over time. Somehow, one way or another, it'll come up that a guest doesn't curse because their mom listens, but I never say who that was. But he just outed himself.
I doxed myself,
Justin,
as they say.
Justin is the one who I've mentioned.
Yeah,
anonymously.
I curse in front of my mom all
too.
the time.
Oh, I don't. I can't do that.
There was
So
definitely a transition where.
Me too.
Yeah.
What age? What age was your transition?
To
Not to manhood, but to like.
Yeah. Probably both at like 20.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm looking at 36. Hey, Mom, damn
But
it,
it's
and hell.
Yeah. But it's
You hear that, Mom?
I'm my own man.
So we originally had Friday, April 27th planned out, and that
sure.
was cool. And then Robbie was like, what about Saturday the 28th?
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of crazy. And then he suggested doing both sides of Yucca.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of crazy. Although we need to find a quiet band, which is going to be impossible, and probably people won't be happy on Friday the 27th on what happens. But I kind of tried.
I can point you in the direction of many quiet bands.
And then, but Saturday, 80s night, that's an important thing.
It is.
But Friday, we're going to have both sides of the...
There was a little...
Well, the thing
there
is...
was an 80s night invasion. Of
It's
just
like they never have 80s nights. There's never 80s or 90s nights.
Yeah,
so it's like...
when you think of Yucca Tap Room, you don't think, man, the place with the really established 80s night?
I want a 2000s night. Like I want like a
Oh,
G
wow.
unit. I want a G unit night. I want to have like this 50
That's
G
just
unit,
emo
Lil
night,
Jon.
right? Like that's totally like...
I've never been to emo night.
Neither
so
have I, but I'm just
I've
saying...
been to Eno
that,
night,
yeah,
like Brian
Eno
Eno.
night.
Everyone lays down.
Is every concert that Brian Eno plays is the Eno night? That's his new marketing technique?
Yeah, no, I was in Tucson and I went to a pizza place and they exclusively played 2000s rap and pop music. And in the mid 2000s, I was like late elementary, early junior high, and I would always go to the skating rink because I was in this really hick town in Ohio where the only things we had was a one-screen movie theater and a skating rink, oddly enough. And so like Laffy Taffy and G Unit and Akon, all that shit was always playing, and I went there.
Taffy?
Remember that song?
No.
Straight that Laffy Taffy, girl. Straight that Laffy Taffy. You know that song?
No.
You
That was available. Yeah, I can vaguely hum it.
I never thought in a million years, and this is why Getting Stoked is awesome, that I would be singing Laffy Taffy with Robbie of Playboy Manbaby.
Yeah. I mean, vaguely humming for reference. Laffy Taffy.
Okay, so yeah, take that away from me. Thanks.
No, it's the same. That's the singing level I have.
No, I understand. Now, how did you two guys meet?
What fuck?
It was years ago.
It was.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Yeah.
I want to hear your perspective because I actually kind of talked about this on the Celebration Guns episode. So picture the first time you had my dumbass like sending you messages like, I'm in this really cool band. I want to be on Rubber Brother Records.
I think.
Oh my God, we have to talk about.
That's a big topic.
I think that's really. I think that's what it was, and we were talking about Jalapaz because we were recording with Jalapaz and all that sort of thing, and then I just remember you sending me stuff and I was just like, this shit is rad, and like that's what I mean, like that was the beginning of the relationship in my mind, and like That's the beginning of many relationships I've enjoyed, where it's just like, hey, this is my art. And I'm like, okay, fuck yeah, I like your art. Like,
5 years later, it's still me just bugging Robbie like, can you let us do this thing?
So that was
with
5
your
years
stuff?"
ago?
Yeah,
Is that really?
2013?
Goddamn.
Yeah.
time is
Old
so fucking
dudes
crazy.
here.
Yeah, but no,
Wow.
that's, yeah.
I went to a show at Cartel, and Numbats and possibly Thin Bloods played.
No,
Numbats,
Petty
wow.
Things.
Petty Things.
Yeah.
Yes. And Nick McKee, was that his last name? He moved to Seattle.
Yeah, no, totally.
He was running
we
the
still,
merch.
Yeah, we'll still stay with Nick McKee. Nick McKee's like one of my best friends.
He was
Nick McKee's a great
he seemed like a
fucking
really
dude.
nice guy, and he
Yeah,
was running
he
merch,
is.
and I was like, "What cassette should I buy?" And he suggested Instructions and Thin Bloods.
Yeah.
So I got those, and I love both of them. And I was in a band the year before called Weird Ladies, and we were making our own tapes. So I thought it was really cool that someone else was doing cassettes.
Yeah.
So I really latched on to Rubber Brother because I liked that a lot. Even though my new band, like Weird Ladies, would have gone on tour with Playboy Manbaby. Like it was shouting vocals and like
Yeah.
post-punk angular like guitars, but Celebration Guns not quite. But I thought it was cool that Robbie was down with it, even though it was a little different. Although us and Instructions are like two peas in a pod, really. Our two bands.
Yeah.
We
And
fit well.
there was a lot of weird ass shit. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
there's a
Like,
mix
there
of
was
stuff.
there was a wide swath of
For sure.
available
But you don't
stuff.
have a finger tap guy.
No finger. That
I
was
just, like,
no finger
I don't
tapping
know
back
why,
then.
but I don't know why I've fixated on that. Ever
I
since
don't know
saw
why
you-
either, because I heard it. Your episode, you talked to Bear Ghost, and you said their other guitarist, he only knows how to finger tap, and they said that can't be possible, and you're like, I think it is. And no, it's not. That's it's not possible.
I saw you guys at Last Exit Live, and all I could focus on the entire time I was like, this guy doesn't play chords. He just finger taps every
He
song.
does a lot, but he also plays.
That's when you're looking. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like because it's distinctive. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're
It
right.
But
is.
he also
It
does
is.
other things.
So
Yeah.
I know, I'm sure he does. He seems like a lovely guy. But I do look. We're an hour in now. We're friends. I gotta ask you, Robbie, what the fuck was Rubber Brother? What happened?
Dude, it just became too much of like it became a thing of.
For those of you who don't know, Rubber Brother Records was.
It was a cassette label, and it was kind of like a community of friends too. But like it was initially tied in with this warehouse venue space place I lived that was called Parliament, and we like had a place to throw shows, and like. By the time that Parliament closed, I was just so fucking emotionally and like mentally exhausted with everything because there was so much shit going on, and I was just doing that, so I was just like so fucking beyond broke, and like so like basically we managed to make enough money through the entirety of that experience where like we never lost money, but we never recouped the initial money that we put in for fucking like to put in like a security deposit and like get business insurance and all these like different things. It was like $4,000 or something initially, and all of that I never was able to make enough money to like cover that. So it was just a matter of just like I've got to pick one or the other. I can either really focus on this label thing and like keep that going, or I can be in the band. But other than that, I really need to work and get rid of this debt, because I didn't get like a business loan or anything. I just put it on a credit card like a fucking idiot. So like by the time I was ready to like take care of it, it was like $6,000, and it was just like, this is going to kill me. Like, you know what I mean? Like so basically it was just like there was so many different things going on, but it was just basically like I couldn't keep doing both and also remain sane. Like there was so much shit going on, but like that was the main thing, is that I needed to get a job and pay off debt.
Yeah, I was super bummed out. I was talking to Alex from Sonoran Chorus, who I go way back with. He and I were best friends in high school. And I brought up, because we wanted to submit to you guys, and I brought it up, and he's like, nah, they're not a thing anymore. And now he broke my little heart, and then we haven't talked since. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's a bummer though, man. Rubber Brother was around forever. Now we have others. We have other cassette things now. We have like Casa Butthole, which is a thing. I don't really know.
Lumberjack does.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, you need to give me your cassette people after this, because I really need.
They're just for me. No, but I do have to say, like, I never felt like Celebration Guns was a true Rubber Brother band, because there was a certain style. It was a very wide variety, but admittedly, we were a little different.
There was like a forefront kind of thing, and I think that was just.
I'm gonna let you guys keep talking. I have to go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, I have to pee after you. But, like, yeah, that was definitely also just, like, that was just the sound at the time. Like, you know what I mean? Because that was the, you know what I mean? For me to say that, like, Burger Records was an influence on what we're doing would surprise fucking no one. You know what I mean? Like, I went over there and, like, interned over there, and I was just like, wait, you can just do this.
You did, didn't you?
You can do this by yourself. You can do this. And you know what I mean? Because before, a record label seemed like this big, amorphous, kind of like corporate RCA kind of thing. And then when I saw it was just like dudes getting stoned in a warehouse, I was just like, fuck yeah, I can do this too. Like, this is totally... And then it became a thing of like, we can make really small batches. We can do all of the things ourselves. Like, all of the things that we were doing before just made sense to a label. And we knew a bunch of people who were in bands. And I think that's why there was kind of a home team, is because of the fact that, like, we made the label knowing, the Thin Bloods and Wolves and fucking all these people. Like, that was the initial, like, yeah, we can start a fucking cassette label and put out all this shit by these people that we know.
I love that. I remember going to a show at Parliament, and you guys were, like, dubbing Celebration Guns quitter tapes, like, behind the where you were taking money for the show.
Yeah. We were also definitely wildly. We were just very bad at time management as well, because we were just, you know what I mean. We were just like, we were just like fucking 20, and like just like figuring it out. Well,
it emboldened Celebration Guns to feel like somebody cared. So,
yeah,
and I really appreciate
I hope that if there's nothing else that it did, like, because we just gave a shit about everybody as much as we could. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't have any money, we didn't really have any particular influence, but we just liked all of our friends' shit so much. And I think that's kind of what made it work, is everyone who kind of came to the show and everyone who was like a part of that, it was just kind of people hanging out. That's how I always remember it.
I do miss Parliament. Like, just thinking about it, like, there was a good feeling about that place, and Matt, you missed out. What a loser!
I know, man. When I came in, the empire was built for me. All I had to do was come in and play. So,
but it was really cool. I remember doing a photo shoot there for, maybe it was like a New Times thing.
No, that was Yab Yum.
Oh, it was Yab Yum.
Totally Yab Yum.
Okay.
Oh, I can't even look at that picture. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Robbie, if you need to go to the bathroom, as you mentioned,
I do.
Through that Hard Day's Night blanket, if you just go walk, you'll see the bathroom.
Just know we're gonna hear you peeing.
Yeah, just go right.
So if you have a weird stream or something, be careful.
He has an irregular stream.
It's like. Well, now there's the two of us. Hey, what's up, baby? How's it
going? Dude, yeah. So okay, so Lumberjerk now. The new comp comes out when?
April 27th. So
April
depending
27th,
on when this comes out, we're gonna do
It'll be out before then.
We're gonna do a sneak peek on Record Store Day. That's April 21st.
It'll be out before then too.
Okay, so there's a store called the N Groove. This is a good topic. So we talked about
Let's
this.
Talk some shit.
So I mean, I wasn't too familiar with them, but Corey from Sun System really wanted me to be into it, and I went in there and I genuinely liked their store. I wasn't sure about the location. I just don't know, because I'm used to Revolver. Like, a lot of bands I've been in have worked with Revolver Records downtown. So he was like, you should do a Record Store Day for Lumberjerk event at N Groove. And then at this point, we have a pretty good lineup of bands. I mean, and that band, There Is Danger, they somehow agreed to play at 10 a.m. on Record Store Day at the N Groove. And we also have Broken Girls from Affluent Background, Sun System, Soft Deadlines.
Yeah, take it. It's all yours.
And like 17,000 other bands. No, but yeah, so we do have a Record Store Day event. I'm going to have like 10 copies of the comp, CD and cassette each available as like a sneak peek. And so that's going to be fun. But yeah, all the bands playing are on the comp. And then, Playboy Manbaby is on the comp. And I think that's kind of a funny thing too, because Robbie was kind enough to let me pick a song from their album when I told him, hey, so I just realized that, CDs don't have unlimited minutes on them. So I have to I have 23 bands and I have to make them fit. And the CD place I'm going through said it has to be 74 minutes or less. Even though if you burn a disc, it's 80, but they're like, to be safe, it has to be 74.
That's like buying a
So I was
hard
like,
drive
oh,
that's a
no.
terabyte, but you get like less when you put it in. You're just like, wait, what the fuck? What did you do with the last?
But I love the song. The song is called. Is it just called The Fun?
The Fun, yeah.
I am. They won. I just had that in my head. I listen to the comp a lot. The comp is really good, and I love the Playboy Manbaby song because it's just a kick in the ass, just out of nowhere, with like a couple of like sweet indie songs, and then it's in like, I am. They won. Just like out of nowhere, and I love it so much. I really like that song. So yeah, we do have an event on April 21st at the In-Groove, but otherwise.
Now, do they move locations? Is that what you were saying when we were texting the other day?
I feel like they.
Where is it? Is it on Indian School?
It's in the same.
Or is it on Thomas?
I think it's in the same building, but it's like a thing where they took over something that was next door to their original location.
They broke open a wall, right?
Yeah, so maybe it's what you already
It's
thought.
the same place.
But I thought that was a different thing. But yeah, so but it's inside this time. Last year, Sun System played and said that like the mixing board just like overheated, and it was like a whole nightmare. But this year it's inside the store, so hopefully it'll be better.
Yeah,
and people will show up.
I'm not gonna say a lot, but I have.
You said some things though.
I said some stuff.
You was a mean old man.
I have some things with the In-Groove. So, okay, first of all, I'm thankful. They're great. But the first time we ever played there was their first ever. It was right when they started, and it was their first ever record store day. And it was us and a bunch of other bands, and including bands who became who are already friends. Like Sink or Swim played, and fucking Malarkey, like Run on Sunshine played. And,
yeah.
So it was a crazy event, and we were playing outside on like a piece of wood. And to this day, people who listen to the podcast and follow me know me to say this phrase, but I'll always refer to certain DIY shows as quote bring your own power strip shows. And I've said that a bunch, and you and I talked about that. You've caught me saying that in the past, and that's a reference to the first time we played In-Groove. They were like, someone texted me and was like, "Yo, you have to bring your own power supply," and I just thought that was hilarious, and I never forgot about it. But I mean, it was cool. The thing about In-Groove is I always go there and find crazy shit. Like I have a Wilson Pickett record that's a beautiful condition from back in the day that I got from them. I think I also got like Marvin Gaye, but it's all the early Marvin Gaye, so it's like the later stuff is great, and all the post Vietnam War shit is great, but his early like really poppy stuff is also amazing. So Heard It Through Grapevine and all that stuff is on there. But yeah, In-Groove is a sick place, and what's his name that runs it? Mike I'm a true crime buff, and I'm a horror nerd, as you can tell. And yeah, they have an original copy of Charles Manson's Lie there for $200 that I've gotten so close to. They have two copies.
$200 on that.
They have the original copy from the original label, and then they have like a repress from later on that's like $80. I've gotten really close to buying it, but like, do I really want to spend $200 on something that I'm gonna listen to once and then just put in a frame of like a psychopath? Do I really want to do that? If I had disposable income, I would have probably done it, but I'm not, so I don't have it. But anyway, yeah, In-Groove, Charles Manson. They're Charles Manson supporters. No, I'm just kidding. But
I'm reading this book about Nine Inch Nails because I'm weird and I read books about bands.
Because they recorded
and
at
Trent
the Sharon Tate
Reznor,
house.
he moved in there. Yeah,
the Tate house.
And then when he moved out, he took the door because it had said pig on there at some point. I'm assuming in blood.
Yeah,
and he took that with him. But I thought that was interesting.
Charles,
that was the whole thing.
Marilyn Manson and Trent Reznor recorded Portrait of an American Family there, and there's shit. According to Marilyn Manson's autobiography, there's things that were in the board from that they didn't put there of like weird voices and shit like that they recorded.
Yeah,
at
I read
the Tate
that.
house.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
who knows if it's true?
Who knows if it's true or not? But it's a great story.
Marilyn Manson, so I'm reading the Nine Inch Nails side of it, but they're quoting Marilyn Manson stuff, and Nine Inch Nails, Trent's like, well, the corporate world, blah blah blah. I want to do this album, this and that, and then they're quoting Brian, what's his face from Marilyn Manson,
Brian Warner.
And he's just telling stories like, so we were out and we saw these couple of sluts, right? And then I'm like, what? Where did this come from? Like, he sounds kind of awful.
Dude,
is he just trying to like showboat? Like, I don't understand.
He's showboaty as fuck. I will say this: I make no apologies for Marilyn Manson, but that dude's the reason that I've told the story on the podcast as well, so forgive me. But when I was 12 years old, I was convinced that I was possessed by demons because I saw the movie Constantine, and coupled with the movie,
Keanu Reeves.
Coupled with the movie Constantine, and just kind of I've always been interested in the forbidden or the morbidly curious or whatever. And I was possessed. I thought I was possessed by demons because I also had generalized anxiety disorder. So whatever. So
it's fair.
Yeah, I was totally thought that was real. So I went to church 3 times a week by myself. My parents didn't go because my parents weren't churchgoers, and I was convinced that I was possessed by demons. And then I heard Antichrist Superstar by Marilyn Manson, and I had this crazy immediate epiphany moment where I said, "Fuck all of this." So I probably would have fallen away from religion eventually anyway, but Marilyn Manson has like this really big hold on like my life because he was the epiphany where I was like, "Fuck this! This is all stupid," and I don't believe in any of this anymore.
But doesn't it suck to look back and just realize he was full of shit the whole time, and it's all a joke?
Dude, this first couple records,
a marketing scheme.
This first couple
I
records.
don't know. I'm not feeling good about Marilyn Manson at the moment.
Pretty good.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
I've
read some really bad quotes from him in this book. Like I don't like him.
He has not released a good album in probably a decade. But I'm gonna die on this hill. His first few records are up to everything up to Hollywood. I feel like is pretty good. And I'm not a butt rock or radio rock or metal guy necessarily. But again, because that happened with me when I was a kid, like I'm never gonna be able to talk complete shit about him. Because yes, he is a fat, bloated old man now who like literally you can hear panting on stage. But
he converted you to atheism.
He still gets on stage, and I'll never forget.
Sometimes props fall on him. I guess.
I'll never forget that moment.
What I heard.
I'll never forget that moment on the school bus in Germantown, Ohio, listening to Antichrist Superstar and having this like, fuck, and I was so angry and embarrassed, and like, you fucking people made me think whatever. So anyway, that happened. That was a thing.
I didn't think we'd talk about Marilyn Manson. My bad.
No, dude, you open a can of worms to the Marilyn Manson thing because I got stories. But yeah, I liked that dude a lot when I was younger. And then, I remember seeing him like piss on himself in a live DVD, and then I saw Gigi Allen, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're a pussy."
That's just not a game you want to play.
It's not. You're right. It's a competition you don't want to enter into.
No.
Because where do you go?
I mean, you end up like Gigi Allen.
Yeah. Who wants to do
Gigi
that?
Allen died hard.
He did.
Hard. No, he did. Sorry. No, he did. I was at the Museum of Death in Hollywood, and they have a whole room.
I was going to tell you,
Gigi Allen.
I went there 2 weeks after you did.
Oh, no way.
We didn't know each other back then. But
yeah.
I saw you post it like as a memory.
Uh-huh.
And I realized that me and my wife had gone there.
We have to talk about this.
2 weeks later.
I have a T-shirt.
Isn't there something about Gigi Allen there?
There's a whole room.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was just thinking of before you said that.
What did you think of the Museum of Death in Hollywood?
That's just not my thing.
No, it's really
My wife is into that.
I
just wanted to get out.
How long did you spend?
Probably about 45 minutes.
Yeah, same.
I remember there was like
minutes.
Was there like a 3-headed turtle or some weird thing?
Yeah.
Or
There's a double-headed turtle.
A double-headed turtle.
Yeah, come on, let's not get carried away.
It was just creeping me out. I didn't like it. And then we went to New Orleans, and there was like the Voodoo Museum, and I was.
Hollywood. Okay, so the Museum of Death. My girlfriend, I don't know if she's a sociopath or what, but she was totally fine the whole time. Me, I've got a pretty strong stomach. I've seen some crazy video nasties in my time and a lot of really obscure shocker horror movies, but I'm gonna say about the 35-minute mark, I was getting queasy. I like true crime, so the Charles Manson room was really cool for me because they had like the quilt that was knitted by the Manson girls.
I feel scarred
and stuff
by
like
that room.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Like, obviously, I'm not okay with any of the things they did, but I'm sorry. Okay,
there's a podcast. Did you hear about the podcast? It's called Young Charlie.
No.
And it's just like a very detailed story of that time.
I've read a bunch of books. I already know.
It talks a lot about how he was like involved with the Beach Boys.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was
well documented.
I didn't know that.
It was him and it was Dennis Wilson.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, Charles Manson helped write one of their songs, then didn't get credit for it, and that's pretty much the reason Helter Skelter.
The reason he killed those people.
Yeah, no,
you didn't credit me, Brian and Dennis.
It's like it's funny, but like that's actually kind of what happened.
Wow.
He wanted to be bigger than the Beatles, and it just didn't.
Oh yeah, he definitely wanted fame, and that's a weird thing. Kind of the same thing with Marilyn Manson. It's like, dude, he's so dark and evil, but he just wanted fame.
If Charles Manson had Instagram,
no one would have died. Yeah.
Matt would
If
be
Charles
following
Manson
it.
had Twitter.
Matt would be commenting every day.
If Charles Manson,
I
would've
love
had-
you, Charles.
If Charles Manson had Twitter, we would look at him the way we look at Jaden Smith, just like
Jaden Smith.
like ridiculous tweets of what I'm talking about.
I mean, is that Will Smith's son?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about.
You don't know anything about Jaden Smith?
No.
Come on, really?
No, I have no
no?
idea. Is he the whip your hair back and forth?
No,
one?
that's a girl. That's the daughter. Well, Jaden
Oh.
Smith is known as he posts and he isn't as much anymore, but in years past he went through that phase that most of us did of the overtly poetic, overtly not sympathetic, but he would overthink everything and turn everything into poetry. So he has these awful, like I did that, but thank God I wasn't famous and I didn't have I didn't have a Twitter to post it on. Like I have awful poetry from when I was 15, but he put his on to the world. So
Yeah, no one should see that.
I feel
bad.
so bad.
I don't. He's very rich.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And
But I mean,
very famous.
think about it.
Yeah.
What do you think your life would have been like when you were 15, Robbie, if you would have had access to social media?
Yeah, the same.
I would have ruined my life, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I
was an angry
I
kid.
did because I had MySpace.
I mean, I had
did
MySpace
have-
too, but this,
You know, there's a picture of me with a bag of weed somewhere on MySpace.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Mama. I didn't mean to take a picture with the weed.
No, that was a big deal. She definitely knows about that.
Oh, no.
No, not on the MySpace thing, but yeah.
No, dude.
If she's made it this far and then
Yeah.
she calls me on this one, it's just gonna be like, dude, fucking seriously,
buy her flowers.
You are so busy. You've got so much stuff to do. You know. Yeah.
I know. I'm thankful though that like I didn't, because I see my on this day on Facebook is the most horrifying thing.
I've turned it off.
Dude, because I see stuff that because here's the thing, like
Okay.
you are both very good people, and I can already tell that. When I was 15 years
Thank
old,
you.
I was a piece of human garbage, and all I wanted to do was shock and offend everybody I possibly could. So my on this days are these painfully humbling reminders of like, you were a piece of shit and never be that way again.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, so yeah, that's
young.
the lucky part is I managed to. I got into in 2008 when Facebook was taking off. I was 18, so I had just enough. Like all of my really dumb shit is stuck in the vault of MySpace. So like I'm really stoked on the idea that I didn't go through 14 through 18.
Yeah,
there.
my MySpace. I had a MySpace in 2007, 2008. And I thought it was awesome. I had a Zanga before that, if you remember like that weird little like,
No, I
diary
don't.
site.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are really bad. But yeah, my MySpace. Luckily, I think I deleted everything at one point, which sometimes I'm kind of bummed out about because I'd like to go back and look at all my
Yeah.
ridiculous like the USB camera pictures. You know,
Yeah, that was an era of quality when everyone could look good with the right scissor cut.
Oh yeah, like did you guys see the MySpace movie? Do you remember like that viral video of like the MySpace movie where this guy went to go on a date with a girl and his friend was like, "No, dude, you shouldn't do it. She's got the angles." And the angles was when you would take pictures like from up top to make yourself like look really like attractive, really pretty, and then you meet them, and obviously that's the joke. But that's true. When you look back at MySpace pictures, they're immediately like everyone's looking from way up top, or you can barely see like half their face.
Suspicious.
Suspicious.
But
It's
speaking
like-
of
Yeah.
MySpace, Robbie, how did you meet everyone in your band? It was MySpace, right?
Yeah, it
Stop
was.
fishing
No,
questions
I
you
think
know
it was
the answers
LinkedIn.
for.
I don't know. I don't know
What's
how.
LinkedIn? You say it was
Yeah.
LinkedIn?
I don't know how you met Playboy Manbaby. Like I don't
No,
know
it
how
was-
the band actually started.
It was totally. It was all shows. It was all shows. So yeah, we before Instructions there was Dino Fight, and that's how I got in with the like social circle that has like everyone in Instructions and all that sort of thing. And we just played shows together, you know. So that's how I met those guys. But those guys got added to the band. But I met Chris because he recorded our EP for our first band, Cartons and Bottles. And he actually played that when it was like 3 a.m. We were driving back from a show one time, and he's like, dude, I still have those fucking songs. I'm like, yeah, but they probably suck. And he's like, cool, I'm going to play them. But yeah, that's how I met.
Available anywhere for public consumption?
No, definitely not.
Chris's iPod Touch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Come on, DistroKid that. It'd be worth it.
But anyways, that's how I met him. And then, yeah, TJ and Chad I met because they were in other bands. But he recorded our album and all that sort of thing. And I met Dave. Dave's actually the funniest one because of the fact that, so Cartons and Bottles, like Playboy Manbaby, the initial Playboy Manbaby was about partying. And the reason that was the case is because Cartons and Bottles, if Playboy Manbaby was about like kind of constructively partying, Cartons and Bottles was like partying and making a fucking nightmare of yourself. Like it was just like, you know what I mean? Like partying till the point where you like wake up in a Taco Bell parking lot kind of thing. Like
it sounds painfully specific.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, so one time we played this show where so we met Dave at this thing called Tempe Art A Go-Go that was at Salem. Yeah. Tempe Art A Go-Go still exists. Salem does not.
That's Dave, right? From Tempe Art A Go-Go.
Yeah. But like
he still does
Evan,
it, right?
No, Evan.
Oh, Evan.
Evan
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Evan.
Yeah, but Evan and Dave have been friends for a long time. Evan's fucking great. But that's where I met Dave, and I knew Dave played, and Dave told me, hey, I play trumpet, can I play trumpet with Cartons and Bottles? And we're like, yeah, dude, that'd be tight, that'd be really sick. But every time we tried to set up shows over and over again, and it kept being like, you know, because we didn't know set times or anything, so he'd show up and we would have already played or something like that. And then the one time that he showed up before we played and would like had his trumpet and was ready, I had this like it was a paper mache kangaroo. And it was for some reason at the coffee shop that I was running at the time. And we were playing a show there, and I was pretty trashed. And I decided to destroy this paper mache kangaroo. Yeah, because they had Long Island iced teas at this shitty mill bar that was right next to the thing. And they were like $2. Anyways, I destroyed the paper mache kangaroo during our set, and no one was into it and no one liked it because, like I said, every show we played in Cartons and Bottles except for like the last ones after we said we were breaking up was terrible and everyone hated it. It was very much so like a jarring experience. But during the process of destroying this paper mache kangaroo, I knocked over Dave's horn and like fucked it up. And like it had to be like repaired and hammered out. So then the band broke up relatively soon after that show. And it was like a thing of like, when we start this new band, we have to get Dave involved in it because we like seriously owe him one. We did fuck that horn up. Like, we've got to actually figure out what his phone number is and call him about times, like, and actually get this to work out. So like that was that was how we like met Dave. So, like, he never got to play with Cartons and Bottles and then was, like, in it from day one of Playboy.
So, I'm going to jump in really quick because I'm going to... Do you have anything to add to this, Justin, before I change topics? No. I'm going to if you can tell...
what
ask him, because I'm going to viciously change topics in a second.
That's I don't like that.
I'm sorry.
No,
sorry,
okay.
I'm going to smoothly
I'm just trying to think of...
topics.
I'm trying to think of, like, a slightly controversial, but not really... question that you might not know what I'm talking about. I
actually have one of those to ask later.
Okay, well, maybe it's the same one.
It's probably not.
I'm trying to ask about the time that you worked for a coffee shop that the side job was like ripping people off with tow trucks
was the
for
fix.
parking. The fix.
Yeah, that was what I was talking about. Yeah. Or that was the place that story happened at. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I remember playing there too, and I remember that someone told me like, yeah, it's a scam. Like, tow trucks are just like circling this parking lot, and they're gonna take you out, and they had you sign your license plate on a thing, and then if you didn't, then they're gonna tow you. And
no, it was wildly predatory. Yeah.
So that was just I don't know. What was that like working for that place? Did you were you very aware of it? Did it bother you?
So I got kind of like wrangled into it in that kind of like, okay, so it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario for sure. There was no, for me to claim ignorance in the scenario would be alive. You know what I mean? Like, but it was just a scenario where the dude just gave us a business, and he said, "You can do whatever the fuck you want to do in here,
Oh, man, that's
as
awesome.
long as we can do whatever the fuck we want to do in the parking lot." So that was his business. Like, he owned this property. And his whole thing was that people would go and want to go out to Mill, and they would just park in this parking lot and leave. And then he would tow people who were like going to the bars at Mill. And then but I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to. So I ran like a wildly non-lucrative arts venue on Mill Avenue. And the only reason that was allowed to continue is because it was basically backed by this super fucking sketchy dude that just basically used it to make money off of towing. Yeah.
That's so crazy. How long did that go on?
A year, or no, maybe 2 years. I don't know. It's hard. It's vague, but like at least a year. But yeah, I mean, it taught me how to book shows. A lot of people got to play shows there. There was a lot of really shitty shows there.
What years was it?
I would say 2000.
It was early on, kind of, right?
I think it was 2 years, because I think it was like it started in like 2009 or 10. I think it was 2010. Yeah, 2010, and then closed down in like maybe in the summer of 2011.
I mean, it was a great location.
Oh, no doubt about it. It was like a $4,000 a month property. Like, I should have never been allowed to do anything there. If it was a legitimate business, I would not have been able to. Yeah.
Now, fuck, that's a perfect segue, but I have to mention this because I saw it a second ago. And I'm a little inebriated. Robbie, your shoes are phenomenal, and I've seen that logo before. What are those shoes?
Oh, these are Pumas, man. I found
Pumas?
them. Yeah, I found them at Goodwill for $6. It was like right after Christmas, and I think it was totally like someone got them for like the wrong size because they were like brand the fuck new.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, pretending that didn't happen. Business. Now, you are known to a few people out there as being someone who, like, business is kind of part of your thing. Like, you gave a seminar talking about music business at Rebel Lounge, did you not?
Steve just asked me to come and talk on it. I didn't like Tony Robbins together like a speech
No.
or anything like that.
Steve, by the way,
Yeah.
is Psycho Steve.
Yeah,
Psycho
Steve
Steve Chilton.
Steve who owns
Okay, so
the Rebel.
at what point, now you obviously did this is me viciously speaking, changing topics. You obviously over a long time have been doing this, and you've been culminating this and making this your own thing. How did because you are obviously very knowledgeable within the business standpoint of things. Was that something that you kind of discovered and learned along the way? And B, how did you kind of come to it so well? Because not everybody's good at that. I've known a lot of amazing musicians who can't fucking do business worth shit, and obviously you're teaching other people about it. So kind of how did the business side of things come about?
Just making mistakes over and over and over again, and I think it's that at the heart of it, and kind of like being willing to learn from mistakes and not really having like an ego about it. Like, there was never a time when I would do something wrong multiple times and think like, no, this isn't me. This is definitely someone else's fault. Like, I have enough self-awareness where I'm like, oh, this worked out poorly because I fucked it up. And knowing that has been like an incredible asset. Like, knowing that like the reason that things go wrong is either just like random chance or your own fucking fault is like a really great thing to know, because it lets you kind of just be like, okay, I mean, you really did try, but like, it's not because the world hates you, it's because, you fucked this up. And then like continuing on that sort of thing. But it's just a matter of just like making mistakes over and over and over and over and over again. That's what it is. So it's just repetitively doing that, being empathetic towards other people, trying to like, I just kind of have a code that I work with people. So I think that's the reason that I've been able to like stick around for a long time. Cause the one, in music, I think there's a lot of kind of like charlatan types. But I really, really try to anytime I work with people to try to be fair with them, to try to be upfront with them, to try to communicate well with people. And that really goes a long way. You know what I mean? Because then if you fuck it up, it's just like, hey, listen, I really tried. You know, like I really this was my honest best effort. Like, you know what I mean? This wasn't some weird thing of this and this, like, you know. So I think I've gotten a lot of leeway. So it's not been just like, man, you know what I mean? It's been nothing but touchdowns. It's been a lot of fuck ups. But I think just like being a reasonable person and being empathetic to other people has like helped me a lot.
What kept This is a question that I know a lot of bands think about a lot. What kept you hustling? Because the business, because here's the thing, hustle and business are extremely tied together. They are not mutually exclusive, and you have got to have both in order to be successful, at least in my summation. Where does your extreme drive and understanding of all... your understanding, I guess, comes from fucking up, but where does all the hustle come from? What's the direction?
Yeah, I guess that is a different thing. I'm just not really satisfied very often. I just want to make more art. I want to do more things.
He's like, money. I want to make more money.
No, like that's... Okay, honestly,
just kidding.
If I had any sort of like monetary motivation, then I'm a wildly unsuccessful person. Like if this whole thing was like to make money, then like the last 10 years of my life have been a wild failure. like just like it, like I've made it the most complicated failure it could possibly be. Like I've repeatedly tried things that don't work over and over again for apparently no reason. If that's the motivation. But it's just such a fun puzzle. You know, this whole thing of like, how do I get better at this? And with the label thing, it was just a whole new puzzle. And with running a venue, it's a whole new puzzle. And that's really, really what keeps it going. And I really love the fucking clerical side of it a whole lot. And I think you have to. Because if the only thing that you like is the going in front of people and having them enjoy you being there, you know, that works out really well if you all of a sudden are in a very successful band out of fucking nowhere. But if not, then you have to really enjoy the boring ass aspect of it, of like comparing prices on figuring out who can distribute vinyl better, and you know what I mean, like what do you lose if you go with this person? Do they make them in Hungary? Is there reviews on their site where they say that they make it sketchy and cheap? Like, and then you have to fucking call people, and can I drive and pick this up and save money on shipping? Like, when you're dealing in a business that is fucking like razor thin fucking profit margins, like I had to call and argue a fucking fee on a thing, not because we couldn't pay the fee, just because it would be stupid to pay the fee if we didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you have, and I like doing that. You know, like waiting on hold and then talking to someone and arguing that point is fine with me. But if the only thing that you're interested in doing is being in a band, then like my life would be miserable.
Totally. No, of course.
So yeah, I think that you have to like it. And if you didn't, then like get an office job, for fuck's sake. Like, drive a truck.
Not even an office job. There's plenty of jobs that you can work out there that you can not hate and make a shit ton of money doing.
Yeah, exactly. There's significantly... So I like doing this. Basically, everything that I do in my life right now, I like. Which is fucking great. Like,
awesome.
Pretty
That's
much
crazy
every day I
position to be
wake
in.
up and like doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
We should kill ourselves then, Matt, because he's got it down.
got
What
it
are
down.
we doing? Who
But
are
on the
we?
flip side, I make very little money.
Oh, there's
That's
that.
the other side of the coin.
So
Yeah.
I was thinking about something today, and this is, once again, extremely off topic of everything we were talking about, but I was talking about it with my girlfriend, and I want to get your guys' perspective on it, because we've been talking, we're loose.
Loosey-goosey.
Okay, so I think we can all agree that right now there is an extremely potent culture clash that's happening, whether it's social justice warriors or which is, you know, nothing, you know.
Is that what SJW is?
Yeah, that's SJW.
Thank you.
So whether it's social justice warriors or it's communities and activism, and there's all these things happening, and they're fantastic. I'm happy that they're happening. But I've thought about this today. I think it's very interesting that Warped Tour is going away because that's not where the youth culture is. While at the same time, the social justice warrior and the extreme kind of everybody's being very sensitive, and that's fine, and everyone's kind of understanding emotions and embracing emotions in a very much more open social manner. The most popular music right now, without a doubt, both financially, statistically, everything, is rap music, which I like, and I'm not saying that I'm different than anybody else, but is known as being the most denigrating, violent, and you know what I mean, controversial music that's going on right now. And I was thinking about that today, and I kind of wanted to bring it up to you guys and see if you have any thoughts on this. Like, I think it's very interesting that right now our culture is going crazier and more kind of at itself than anything. People have been bringing up the 60s a lot. It's almost like a new 60s. And I kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about how it's very interesting that while that's happening and everyone wants to be more sensitive and everybody wants to be more accepting, yet by far the most popular music right now is all about fucking either violence or fucking bitches and not know what their name is and yada yada. I thought it was very weird. Like, do you guys have any thoughts on that? If not, it's totally cool, but I was thinking about it today, and I kind of wanted to bring it up. Like, I was thinking about that today. Like, it's very strange. I know it's kind of a touchy subject, but I don't know if you guys had any kind of, like, thoughts on that. It's very kind of, I didn't expect that. I was thinking about it today, and like I said, I'm listening to as much music as I can, and the music that by far has the most listens is that. Which is fine. I listen to it too. The last Lil Yachty album is not nearly as bad as I kind of hoped that it was going to be. And
There's no Big Yachty.
and MF Doom and Czarvase has new music out and shit, and it's great. But like I said, I'm in it too. I'm part of it. But I just think it's kind of weird. It's not what I expected. I expected, if that's the culture right now, which is great, change. This is inevitable. This needs to happen, and eventually it's going to be good no matter what. But I think it's weird that instead of the most popular music being very kind of nice Fleetwood Mac-y kind of happy music, it's very like, I fucked your bitch. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's kind of weird. You have any thoughts on that? No, it's fine.
No, I don't love that aspect of some types of rap music, and I'm sure not all rap music is like
of course,
that. But it is
not.
No, but you're. I mean, it's a theme.
Yeah,
that'll run across a lot. I think, unfortunately, what's sticking in my head right now is there was this article that Psycho Steve wrote about hip hop and EDM music kind of overtaking rock music.
It is,
and basically releasing singles is the important thing. And he did tell me to my face that, like, he said, local bands releasing full-length albums, it's worthless. And I was like, oh, we're working on one now, but thanks for mentioning that. So there's like
he's told me that too.
There's a very business side to the scene that kind of just makes me want to throw up in my mouth as I'm listening to someone tell me these things. And reading that article, there was no positive, like, but rock bands, you could always do this. It was basically like, here's how you monetize your shit. And this is what it comes down to.
Yeah,
and
but
there is a thought
right.
process. But he's right. If is your intention to make a lot of money?
Well,
I don't know.
Okay, that's the thing. As soon as we start the conversation about the morality of rap music, this is like a fucking Oprah shtick from
of
the
course.
90s.
I'm sorry. I don't want to make it that.
And that's the thing is, like, you know what I mean. For me to pretend to have any perspective on that is, you know what I mean. It's just like, well, the inner city youth, like, no.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Of course not.
Either.
No.
It's interesting.
It is an interesting thought. But I think that the thing is that those are not necessarily correlated. You know what I mean? The obvious zeitgeist right now happens to be, feminism and also trap music. Those are not necessarily connected. And I think that, you know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you, there's a lot of reasons that feminism happens to be at the forefront right now.
Of course.
But the reason that trap music, regardless of themes, is at the forefront right now, or just rap in general, if you look at artists like Brockhampton, who aren't necessarily your traditional "I fucked your bitch" kind of rapper,
Oh, they're great,
but they're still fucking a hip hop act. You look at these people, and these people are making money. These people are getting attention. These people are going from, because it used to be, and I talked to fucking Steve about this, but like. It used to be that hip-hop was better at getting, you know what I mean? If you had a music video with 1 million views, cool, you're probably a hip-hop act. But you could never get anyone to actually show up to a venue. You know, rock and roll was better at getting people to show up to venues, and hip-hop was better at getting people to listen to shit online. That was the dichotomy for the last few years. You know what I mean? Like, wildly popular bands, you know, like wouldn't necessarily be listened to as much on SoundCloud or YouTube or anything like that. But now it's gotten to the point where I think that the reason that rap is on top is because of these very things. Like, it is that kind of like hustle culture of like hip hop doesn't do anything that doesn't work. That's the thing. That's their mentality about it. And Steve brought this up, and I think it's a really fucking fair point. Because you know what I mean, as a person who has, you know, dedicated the last fucking 10 years to making art and not making money, I can say this with like enough, you know, 50 cents in my street cred account. But Congos is a band from here, so it ties into this sort of shit. These guys had a fucking radio hit, like 70s style radio hit. Yeah. Like, played on the radio, being put in fucking cell phone commercials or whatever. Like, these guys are playing huge shit. And then they went and they took the time to make a full-length album, and then they put out another full-length album, and that shit bombed. And then now, no one's heard from them in 6 months. And what are they doing? Probably working on a full-length album. You know what I mean? They're working on an outdated fucking business model. And you know what happens if a hip-hop artist puts out like a fucking mixtape or a music video that doesn't do well? Fucking 5 more music videos. Yeah. Like, you can't argue with that shit. They're playing to the game that's available right now. You know what I mean? I don't want to be spending 6 hours a day on fucking Instagram figuring out what the best, like, you know, hashtags to use are and the best algorithms available. That's not what I'm interested in. But, like, they are. You know why? Because that shit works. Like, that's what they're interested in, is only in shit that works. They don't have to worry about, you know what I mean, like, oh, artistic integrity, you know, I have to bump this shit to tape so it sounds even better. They don't care about that at all. If it doesn't work, they're not doing it. And that's why they're ahead.
That's smart.
It's fair. I mean, for me to complain about the idea of like, local
also
band
come listen to my full-length album.
Yeah,
release
both of us are working on full-length albums this year.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's like Robbie and I can't sit here and say like, well, we don't care at all if anyone ever hears this. No, obviously we do. Yeah. So I mean, there's a dichotomy there. Like for me to feel offended.
I didn't mean to put you on
no,
the
I
spot
think
or
it's.
anything.
I mean, like the thing.
No,
I just immediately. I immediately was like, Psycho Steve said this. You know, and I'm sure he's listening right this second. Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, like,
hope that'd be awesome.
I felt insulted, and like, there's of course the bitter side of me that's like, there's certain people in the scene that money is number one, but that's how they have to survive. But for me, I mean, my music's important, and I think it's okay for me to put out a full length, and maybe it is just for me and just for the band and maybe like 10 to 15 other people who actually want to see us do that.
In that respect, I think we've got a lot in common, because that's all that I give a shit about. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to make the art that I want to make, and I really, you know what I mean? If getting people interested in it on a massive commercial scale was the intent, I would have done something different.
Done something differently, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's honestly why I respect, and this isn't a kiss-ass thing. This is just genuinely how I feel. Playboy Manbaby's done it on their own terms. Like, they're just, they don't really care what you think. The lyrics are rebellious. The presentation is not commercial, but they've gotten a following on their own terms. And that's like the dream. And I always felt, you know, Celebration Guns is we're pretty poppy. I mean, like, we're different, but we still have that pop element. It's not that exciting. I like the idea of just kind of pushing aside the old ideas and just going a completely different direction with something and just saying, this is what I want to do. I don't care what you think. And then people actually getting into it.
Yeah.
And so I've really respected about you guys. I told you that listening to your songs, I felt like I was in high school again, walking the halls with my minor threat patch on my backpack, just like scowling at the jocks. Really, like I said, the rebellious spirit of Playboy Manbaby is something I really enjoy. So I think they're a good band to look up to if you want to do things on your own terms, but still have some kind of success or like a following. I mean, I think that you guys obviously have hit the mark somehow. And I really respect that.
So speaking of rebellion, can we talk a little bit about one of my favorite songs of yours for an extremely long time has been High Life. And could you? I know we're definitely like we've been talking for quite a while now. I don't mean to keep you, but that is one of my favorite songs, and I kind of wanted to see. Like, I get what the song is about, but can you kind of talk about the process of that song just because I fucking love the shit out of it so much? Do you guys play that one often?
No, the last time we haven't played. We've played it probably like once in the last 2 years. But yeah, but a lot of people really like that song. I guess we should play it more fucking often. Is the thing of that. Yeah, I mean that's definitely like that's a song about like just kind of living in a place where you're not supposed to live, and then kind of like it's a lot about. I had a lot of friends who were like moving to LA and trying to become famous and all that sort of thing at that time, and I just thought it was. I thought it was fucking stupid. So that's kind of where that song lands in. You know what I mean? Like but it was a little bit. It's about L.A. and Phoenix. Like it is a lot. It talks about the idea of the fact that like it's just the fact that we live here, regardless of whatever you're doing. This city is stupid. Like, we don't have enough water to actually, like, continue to live here. This is not a place that people lived before the 70s because it's so inhospitable that, like, without electricity and air conditioning, it doesn't make any sense to live here. So it was just kind of this, like, weird thing, you know. And then just High Life was, like, the practice beer. So, like, we just, you know, just sitting in the summer, like, drinking High Life because you're drinking water it's basically like the beer version of water bottles, which is kind of great because like you just keep drinking them because you keep sweating and then you realize you're fucking trashed. Yeah. And then you're at like a Sonic and you remember like Sonic and you know
the Coney dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean that's what that was an era of the band where I wrote significantly more vaguely, but that was what was influencing that, and I can remember that distinctly. Is just, you know, kind of like everything's kind of vapid and temporary.
So before we wrap up, and we are unfortunately going to wrap up here in a second, I do want to just kind of give you guys both individually the space to, I know, Robbie, I definitely know you have a lot of stuff to hype, and obviously, Justin, you do as well. I have it standing.
Thanks
right
for
here.
noticing.
Oh my god, I can't fucking wait. So can you guys individually tell me kind of what you guys have going on in the next couple weeks? Remember, this is going to air not this Monday, but next Monday. So whatever you guys can talk about freely, let me know. Let's talk about it. What do you got to hype? What's going on? Plug.
Celebration
Not
Guns
dead
is switching to hip hop singles only. We're scrapping the full length.
After that fucking conversation, shit. I mean,
Celebration Guns.
Gucci gang.
No, so I should mention the video because that was also another thing I wanted to talk about. The collaboration with Robbie.
Oh, that's a great thing.
Yeah,
I think
that turned out really well.
I think it did too.
Like I was worried when we first shot it. I was like, I hope I got enough stuff where I can like make it look interesting and all that. And I was really happy with the video. I don't know, I didn't get that.
I like it too. Have you gotten any feedback? People hate it.
No. I've had more people like hit me up and be like, wait, you're doing videos? And it's just like. Yeah. Now I'm doing videos.
Awesome.
So like that's a pretty high compliment.
I was kind of hoping that would happen.
Yeah. So like that, I'm really stoked on it. Yeah, but yeah, very, very, very good response on the whole deal. And it was just kind of fun to fuck around with like effects and filters and all that sort of thing. And like, yeah.
I keep hitting this
God
mic.
damn it.
I'm so sorry.
Can you not handle your alcohol?
It's like the gunshots of trap music, you know. Like
so this song, Great Again, it's a pro-Trump song. No,
Just really trying to get that hashtag mega.
no, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's funny you say that because I was looking at the comments on our video and someone commented. I'd never heard of them, and because sometimes I recognize names that are liking our stuff, and
Yeah.
this guy just put a whole bunch of laughing, crying faces. So I'm like, this means something.
Yeah.
So I click on his profile and immediately it says MAGA. Like I'm like, oh, this could have been a lot worse. He could have really come after us. And then like right after that, I saw our second thumbs down because I always look out for our thumbs downs on YouTube.
Yeah.
3 of our
do
last
that.
4 singles, someone has thumbs down like within the first hour that we announced it. So I'm like, someone hates us. There's
No,
like this
yeah, that's
one person.
Yeah, there's totally. We've got that
We're-
same guy. Yeah.
We have that guy too, but he's just our friend who's a troll.
Oh, it's just messing with you?
I mean, like it could be that.
It could be the same guy.
But
for
this
all of
one we
us.
have 2 thumbs down, so I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's controversial, but not really. I feel like I wish
I
the
like
song
how you
was
did
more.
it.
You,
No,
yeah?
I like how you did it because it's got a I like we talked about this before of the I like the subtlety. I think the subtlety ages well, and yet I don't know. I like the everyman kind of thing, like as opposed to like the. Because all of it, you know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna be like, overthrow the system, man. You know what I mean? Like we're a little too invested in the kind of just like, I also really do like Wi-Fi and air conditioning. So like, there's a self-awareness to like our, and a reality to the perspective of it that I think is like, I think it's cool. Like, I think it'd be overly hokey it's just the, you know what I mean? Like. The whole deal of the like if the change you think you see is actually good for everybody kind of deal, like it's just like you still want to have hope for the it to work out all right, but even if it's like, even if you're betting against it, where you're just like, listen, you're gonna fuck up, but just because I'm on this roller coaster too, I really hope you're not as much of a fuck up as I think you are. You know what I mean? Like, I have to embrace the actual reality of the situation. So, like, please don't be as much of a shitty person as I think you are. Like, I think that's real. Like,
I don't want to feel like I was pulling punches, and I didn't write a song that was like, Trump's a mean guy and I don't like him.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was kind of vague. I wrote it within a month of the election, so like I was in a certain frame of mind that many of us were at the time.
That was a rough month.
But I thought I saw Robbie's art in the drawings that he does, and I thought it would kind of make sense because I wanted the idea of a sort of like a Trump-like creature that you can't stop hearing about. So really the concept of the video isn't anti-Trump. It's more like, I don't want to hear about this dude anymore. Like everywhere I turn,
just
it's
out
all
of
I can hear
normal
about.
day-to-day life, it's just like, God damn it. This is
Everywhere you look. And I think that this video captured that well, and I really like
like a
the
mental
pairing of the
fart.
animation. Yeah, it really is. So that's on our just to summarize, that's on our new album that's coming out in September.
Which is called
it's called Probably Worth It. And Great Again is the name of the song we're talking about. And the Lumberjerk comp release is the weekend of April 27th and 28th. On the 27th, we have Playboy Manbaby. They're headlining both nights, actually, which is going to be fun.
Powerful.
You guys are going to be tired.
Not, like, totally ridiculous. No, I mean, we play, you know what I mean? Like, we're not driving to Omaha in between there, so, like, we'll be fine.
Well, it's not as ridiculous when you consider that you already had those nights, and then I took over. So for me to be like, no, you shouldn't play both nights. That's not fair. They were already your nights.
Yeah,
so
I think
it works out.
I vaguely remember thinking it's just like, is it okay to? And it's just like, nah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? Because especially if we're playing last two, if you don't like us, just fucking leave. You know,
guess so.
like, you know what I mean?
I don't think that's how it's gonna be.
4 bars within a block of there. You can go to that one place. They've got pinball and fluorescent lights.
That
Just
Q
Time
and
Out
Brew.
Lounge.
Yeah.
I always see Q and Brew lit up, and I'm always like, I don't know what's happening.
No, dude, that place is all right.
Is it
Beers
really?
are pretty cheap. I didn't say great.
No, I definitely would say all right as well.
Okay, so my girlfriend works at 51 West. She works for Mantooth, and I like my job is basically I hang out behind the counter, and because we have a shared bank account, I also get paid for her sound work.
Yeah.
And so I'm always there super late at night, and Q and Brew is always fucking lit up.
Yeah.
There's always stuff going on over there, and I never want to go near it.
Dude, sometimes they have the pro pool people. That's when you don't want to go. Yeah, because, they have sometimes that people are in there that do not fuck around with pool. Like sometimes I just want to go and just like drink cheap beer and play pool under these shitty fluorescent lights. But like sometimes you go there and there's the people like as soon as you see them getting out these fucking rifle cases where they're like assembling their sticks, you're just like leave.
It's like the Big Lebowski of pool.
It is. No, but it's the
Entering world
same.
of
It's
pain.
the same demographic as the bowling league folks. It really is.
And
It
you're
really
in there
is.
with your friends, like swiping all the balls across the table, like, they're
Yeah.
just like, get out.
Yeah. No, for real. It's
out of
the
your
exact.
element.
I mean, it's almost the same sport. It's both.
It really
They're
is.
both sports you can that aren't really sports. You can be just as good at them in like late middle age as you can, and you can play them in the Midwest in the winter. That's how you know. They're pretty much the same, and you can reasonably and socially acceptably be fucking trashed during both of them. Like
Brilliant
fair.
minds at work here.
Yeah, no, those
Like
are
that could be like on
my
a poster.
family. Yeah, my dad's side of the family was in fucking Wisconsin. And like these people loved that shit. I had a some sort of family relation. I don't know what he was, but his name was Moose, and he traveled around in an RV. It was Moose and K, like K-A-Y, and they traveled around in an RV, and he was on the professional horseshoe throwing circuit. And like, so you'd go to these events, and it was polka bands and people throwing horseshoes professionally. And this is what this man did with his retirement. And I'm like, this fucking rules.
That's a good retirement.
Yeah, you just see him and just these dudes in like a public park, hammered at noon, just fucking throwing horseshoes like nobody's business. It's like if someone just made a touring circuit of something as trivial as beer pong and just dedicated their retirement to it. It was fucking tight. Like they knew all the people, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I beat him in Cincinnati, but now I'm gonna, and like now he's, really doing good this round. Like it's its own world. It's
This
kind of
is
like
the American dream. This is what Norman Rockwell should have been painting.
exactly
This is the real
Yeah,
American.
he just needed 20 years of aging to just, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Like that and like Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone.
yeah. It was very
Arm
much.
wrestling.
Yeah, everyone in that town kind of reminded me of like a different version of Hank Hill. Yeah, and it was great. Yeah, like my grandma went to one specific gas station because she'd convinced everyone who worked there to make it a self-serve gas station. Like they knew when she pulled up that they'd have to come out and pump her gas, not because she couldn't do it, just because she made them do
It
it.
felt right.
Yeah. Like when they stopped making gas, fucking like you have a person do it. So like the 60s. She's just been making this one gas station do that for her since then.
She should have lived in Oregon.
Yeah, she should have. No, they actually just
Just
stopped
recently,
that.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank God. That was a stupid.
No, it
fucking
was very
system.
awkward.
Yeah.
Dude,
But
Oregon
yeah,
is weird.
just that you can make someone do that for 60 years.
Yeah.
I'm not a Portland guy. I don't know about you guys.
I
Like
am.
I went
No,
to
Portland's
Portland.
great.
I
My,
want
my
to go back.
girlfriend loves it, and I was just like, oh, hobos and donuts. I'm not into it. But
Those donuts suck dick.
they do, right? Am I not? God, I'm
Voodoo
not,
donuts?
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
not
just
a Voodoo
Bosa.
Donuts
It's
guy.
just Bosa with cereal on it for some reason.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. It just Portland didn't do it for me. I really liked like the beach, and I like Cannon Beach, and I like all the woods in between. But Portland just like, and she got really bummed out about that.
I
and she
feel like
loves
Portland would be a fun place to live just because of the fact, like, if I wanted to find a Jack in the Box, I couldn't. Like, just the idea that every single business is independent, it's just so
cool.
different than it's so different than Phoenix. And there's a legitimate just kind of like general like I feel like I could talk to that guy. I don't know why. I just feel like I could talk to that guy. Like he might talk about something boring and hippie-ish, but I could talk to him.
That's how I felt about Colorado.
Denver I really like a lot.
When we played Colorado Springs, Denver, and Fort Collins all in one fell swoop, and across the board, Colorado was the most wonderful. I could not believe how fantastically kind of welcome we felt in Colorado.
No, there's a certain, and it's the same niceness.
Yeah.
It really is. But yeah, it's the kind of thing of like, yeah, I remember the first time that I went to Oakland, we were in a bar and someone, I was standing waiting for my friend to get me a beer, and someone came up to me and there was a painting in front of us, and this girl asked me like, hey, what do you think of this painting? And I just looked at her just like, what what the fuck? Like, why do you have to be a dick about it? I'm just looking at this painting. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to come and make fun of me and be an asshole about it. I'm just standing here waiting for a beer. And I realized it's just like, oh, you're just legitimately asking me my opinion about a painting. Yeah, and the fact that I immediately thought that she was making fun of me made me realize it's just like,
We're from Arizona.
Wow, there's something in Arizona that's different. Like,
So do you have anything else to plug before we move on?
No, that's our mutual plug is.
Okay, that's your mutual plug. What's your singular plug, Robbie? What do you got going on?
I
know that you have
that's
a full-length album in the works.
We are. Assumedly now our full-length album is out and available on the internet. You can get it. You can stream it on LinkedIn. It's on April 6th. April 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
It will be out
if you're
by
in
now.
the future of April 6th, it is available.
I got super teased because you guys released the album art, and I got an email on Bandcamp saying like,
no shit.
Playboy Manbaby
there's like
album art, and I was just like half asleep, and I was like, Playboy Manbaby released the album? What the fuck?
Yeah.
And
there was like 2 days you could get the album because I didn't understand how pre-order works. So if you were in the first 2 days, there was like 15 people who like just got the album that day. It was just like, oh fuck. I had a person who like a friend from Seattle hit me up and be like, yo, the album's sick, and it's just like, yeah, but I mean you only heard the 3 songs. He's like, no, I didn't.
Dude, that happened to us too. We released a limited edition cassette tape that we recorded with Matt Alderwood from Troubled Minds, and who I plug every single chance that I get. And we put it on SoundCloud just so press could get a hold of it to do reviews and stuff, not realizing that we made it public.
Oh boy.
So I talked to somebody about it once who was trying to learn some of my bass lines, and I was like, yeah, I'll send you the link. And he's like, no, dude, it's on SoundCloud. And I don't spend any time on SoundCloud, so I don't know.
No one should.
So I went on SoundCloud, and the entire fucking thing was on there, and that's like every single song has a ton of plays on it, and I was like, oh no, this whole time. But it happens, man. It's cool. It happens.
It does.
All right, well, dude, thank you guys so much for coming on. Like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe I have Celebration Guns and Playboy Manbaby here together. This is absolutely insane. Like, when I moved into this apartment, I never thought that I would be singing Laffy Taffy or hanging out and drinking with Celebration Guns and Playboy Manbaby. So this is absolutely ridiculously surreal for me. So thank you guys so much for coming over.
Thank you for being excited about that.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
I'm excited about everything.
Yeah, but that's fucking cool.
Yeah, man, you guys are the shit. So thank you guys so much for doing what you do. Thank you for existing, and thanks for hustling. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you made it this far, as I say all the time, I appreciate you. Can you hit something like Glockenspiel to make this? Oh, look at that beautiful Glockenspiel we've got in the background.
You got a Glockenspiel master here. Yeah, you got a guy who can actually fucking rip that.
Oh yeah,
rip that Glock.
Yeah, there you go.
You just wait. As soon as you
trap music, anytime you hear,
as soon as you turn this off, I'm gonna do a solo. As soon as you turn this off.
That was my go-to joke. I had that in my trunk for like 6 months, and I was always like, if a police officer pulls us over, we have to say the Glock.
Got a Glock in the trunk, and you're just immediately shot, and it's just like, not as funny in real life.
That's the note we're gonna end on. Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate all of the support. I have so much stuff coming along down the line. Check out the Patreon, check out the Facebook, Instagram. You guys know how to get a hold of me. Thank you so much for listening. Get stoked. Oh shit. Okay, and as promised, my Patreon supporters. So I've got a few people. It's happening. It's coming in slowly. People are really starting to jump on this thing and help me out and support me. Please, if you don't know about it already, go to my Patreon. You can get mixtapes from me. You can get your name in episodes. You can send me questions for episodes. You can fucking sit in on an episode if you pay an ungodly amount of money. So thank you guys so much for the Patreon. Specifically, Austin Carson of Hazardous for Humans. Thank you so much for your pledge. Wonderful dude. Fantastically laid back and always stoned motherfucker. Thank you so much. Aubrey Hoffer, the girlfriend of the wonderful Josh Capatti of Phantom Party. She is just delightful and fiendishly intelligent. Thank you so much, Aubrey. Courtney Gallegos, my good friend. Thank you for your patronage. You will be getting a mixtape very soon. It is being made. It is on its way. My needle on my record player just broke, but because you pledged $15, I'm going to go and buy myself a new fucking stylus and get rolling on your mixtape. You are wonderful. Miguel, come on. Miguel is my high roller. He's my big spender. He's getting all kinds of good shit. He is in Sounds Like Disco. He's been on the episode with Frequency Within. He popped in for a second and said something. Wonderfully delightful guy. And I made him a nice little funny video. That's another thing you can get on Patreon is a little video from me to you. And it was funny, man. I was really drunk, and I wrote him a song on the spot, on the fly. Did not write that shit down, which is pretty obvious, and it's about how much I love him. And, yeah, it gets intense, man. I play it on a pink guitar. You guys should hit up that Patreon shit. And of course my mom. Thank you, Mom, and thank you, Grandma. Thank you, Mom, obviously, for raising me and giving me life, and thank you, Grandma, for buying me all of those CDs that you didn't realize I should not have been listening to because you didn't know what a parental advisory was. Thank you so much for that. It really, really changed my life. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I'm not going to tag the little intro thing on here. Because this is or the outro thing. This is the outro, motherfucker. This is it. You know where to find my shit. Hit me up on Instagram, Facebook. The show is on Spotify now. It's on iTunes. It's on Stitcher. It's on any podcast app. You can get it anywhere, man. But most importantly, it's all about the YouTube channel right now. That is what I'm going on the hardest about. I've got a video. I have 3 videos coming to you every single week. Well, the first one's kind of a video. Every Monday, you're going to get the podcast on YouTube as well as on here, but there's no actual video footage of it yet. I'm going to purchase those cameras very soon, and we're going to have a nice little multi-camera setup on YouTube. So that'll happen in the coming months. But on top of that, every single Wednesday, there's a Good Dog Sessions, which are acoustic sessions with wonderful, wonderful musicians and artists and spoken word people and all kinds of crazy shit. So that's up every single Wednesday. And every Friday, you're getting an album review from me. So keep an eye out for that. YouTube is very, 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 very important to me. Go to the YouTube and subscribe and comment and like and all that kind of shit. Come on, people. You gotta help me out a little bit. Thank you guys so much for everything. Bye.